Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Tuesday. It's March 21st. There is a lot to talk about. I have coffee, I have cursey words, I have the law nerds here with me, and I am ready to roll. I hope you are too. We're actually finishing with water this morning before we get to coffee. Let me tell you what we're talking about this morning before we get all the way into it. And of course, replay crew, love you. I will put timestamps down below that are available after the live is complete, so you can jump to the topics you want. But I'm just going to warn you, you don't want to miss anything today. Here's what we're talking about. First, there are a lot of Murdaugh updates. There are updates going on in the Stephen Smith case. We'll talk about it. If you just started following Murdaugh at the end, there are tangentially related cases. The Stephen Smith case is one of them. There was a press conference yesterday. Buster made a statement. Jim Griffin went on Cuomo. There's a leaked phone call or improperly released phone call, however you want to language that, between Alec Murdaugh and Jim Griffin that we need to talk about. Then we have a YouTuber getting sued and turning around and going after the lawyers. There were new filings that came in about that yesterday, late in the day. I wasn't going to talk about this lawsuit just yet, but it's not just one YouTuber getting sued. Let's be fair. It's a bunch of YouTubers getting sued. So we are going to talk about that lawsuit a little bit, and then the YouTuber that has wilded out, apparently, and talk about the two new filings so we can follow along with a little YouTube spice. We are still owed a YouTuber lawsuit update. I have not had time yet to prep that episode. We will get there, I promise. There's lots of updates on other YouTube lawsuits that we're not getting to today. Also, today is probably going to be a big news day. We're just talking about this today because it's literally all I have the bandwidth for. Also, I know that the Gwyneth Paltrow ski trial has started. A lot of you said you weren't interested. Tomorrow, I am doing the Emily show, breaking down some of the things I found buried in the motions in limine. I've not seen anyone covering this yet. So there is some sneaky little juice in the motions in limine, and that might change your mind. Opening statements are today. Maybe I will break down the first 2 days of trial on Thursday, maybe. So I'm not covering that live yet, but I might be able to be persuaded. Wednesday is the Supreme Court hearing with regard to the Bad Spaniels Jack Daniels case, and I will probably be listening to that. So with all of it, tomorrow I break down Paltrow, and then we'll just go from there. On Thursday, if you guys let me know on Wednesday that you want a breakdown, I will break down the early parts of trial, and we can do some of that live. So with all of that, I have that coverage coming tomorrow for you, and we are going to get into today. Other housekeeping items. I will be live Thursday. I will not be live on Friday. There is a Emily and Dr. B stream for our Law Nerds Unite members over on Patreon on Thursday. You will get all of that information in your member space over there. So it is very, very interesting. All right. Let me know where you're coming in from and what you're drinking. And I'm starting with hot water and lemon, but don't you worry. Don't you worry. We've got plenty of trial. So that's what's happening today. All right. So that's what we're talking about. We are talking about, I think we're going to have to talk about YouTubers first. I don't think I can wait. I don't think I have enough chill to wait. We will talk about Murdaugh second, and then we will talk about, and then we will answer questions. And if you guys have more questions about all the stuff going on with Paltrow, we can talk about it if you're interested. And then we'll see what kind of coverage we will do. We'll see. I'm very persuadable. The judge looks like a no-nonsense kind of judge so far. The judge is like, fuck around and find out. So that's what happened in the motions in limine. I think this trial is going to go pretty quick based on those motions. It's just, so we can always review it after the fact as well. With that, It's time to roll the intro and get going. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being Leonards. We have a lot to cover today.
Hey there, I'm Emily D. Baker, the internet's go-to legal analyst, breaking down the legal side of the pop culture and entertainment stories we can't stop talking about. I'm a big fan of the cursey words. I've been a licensed attorney for over 17 years, but this is not legal advice. This is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not... Let's get into it.
With all of that, I forgot to pull up my my chat window so I can see you guys when I am talking about other topics. So I'm doing that real quick because we're professionals here. That's how it works. I've been popping out the chat in 2 different ways so that I can keep up with it at all points in the video, which is helpful because I love seeing what y'all have to say. Go ahead and do the YouTube things as well. There's over 10,000 of us in here, 11,000 of us in here. We're going to start knocking some of that trial coverage off of live trending because we're law nerds and we do that. But we needed some lighter topics. And look, a lot of the Paltrow trial is going to be deposition footage and medical testimony. So we're going to do some YouTube drama that's also a lawsuit first because I just have to. I just absolutely have to. So do y'all remember the BitBoy crypto suit? Let's swoop real quick. Do y'all remember talking about BitBoy crypto? Just pop a 1 in the chat if you remember that lawsuit. If you are new here, you might not remember it, but we covered BitBoy crypto, who is a financial influencer, a finfluencer that talks mostly about crypto. He sued a commentary channel here on YouTube. I covered that. It was a ridiculous lawsuit. It Streisand affected and then was immediately withdrawn by BitBoy Crypto, who made a statement to the effect of, I didn't think it would be public. You filed a federal lawsuit against another content creator. What have we learned about filing lawsuits against content creators? They are unpredictable and they are going to make content out of it. Like, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So BitBoy Crypto is getting sued again. Last time he sued a Tuesday, he's getting sued again with some other names that you might recognize. We're going to talk briefly about this class action lawsuit and then go to the drama that is happening because we have to go to the drama that is happening. So let's get to this lawsuit real quick. This is regarding the collapse of FTX, because of course it is. In the FTX lawsuits, we have lawsuits going after the influencers who promoted it, like Tom Brady. I talked about that a number of months back. Now we have a class action lawsuit, or a purported class action lawsuit, going after the YouTubers that promoted FTX. I watched CoffeeZilla's video with regard to this. CoffeeZilla talked about the fact that with regard to BitBoy Crypto, he had actually started ringing the bell against FTX ahead of FTX's crash, which I think is really important context. And I appreciate the way CoffeeZilla has been breaking down the FTX. I dip into crypto when it's either the crypto couple, which we need to get back to because that case is fascinating, and when it's these kinds of influencer suits where you're kind of blending pop culture plus what's actually happening in our world plus YouTubers getting sued because of course. So this is Edwin Garrison on behalf of the class versus, I don't know all of these YouTubers, so I apologize. Kevin Paffrath, that's not Matt Pat, that's Paffrath. I don't follow a lot of influencers. I just don't. I don't. So if I pronounce names wrong, I apologize. Graham Stephan, Andre Jacquet, Jaspreet Singh, Brian Young, Jeremy. This is a game in and of itself. I don't know. You throw a V in the middle of there and I'm out. Jeremy L, Tom Nash, Ben Armstrong, Erica Kohlberg, Creators Agency LLC, class action and complaint. Let us know which creators you've heard of in all of this. Kevin Paffrath, meet Kevin on YouTube. Thank you, Grateful Edge, in the chat. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Keith ran for governor in California. I didn't know that. This is going to be very, very interesting. Class action complaint demand for jury trial. Plaintiffs file this complaint on behalf of themselves and the class against defendants, quote, influencers who promoted, assisted in, and/or actively participated in FTX trading, LTD DBA's FTX trading, and West Realmshire Services, DBA FTX US. Have you guys been following FTX? I should just put up a poll. Like, here, we're putting up a poll. I'm just doing it myself. Migalina, I got it. Yeah. The FTX scandal is wild. Yes, no, kinda. FTX, here, let's just back up. We're going to do a quick swoop with what the fuck is FTX anyway, for those of you that are like, FTX. FTX is a trading platform and a crypto coin that collapsed spectacularly. It's in bankruptcy. It is a mess. Rob over at Lawn Lumber has been covering the bankruptcy really closely. CoffeeZilla's been talking about the entire like mechanism for how currencies like this crash. And it was both a trading platform and a coin. And there were two parts of FTX. This is a broad overview. There was a part that was like a savings account. Like if you put your money here, it's a savings account. It'll gain interest. And there was a trading part. FTX, it seems, commingled all of the money together. And then when it was crashing, because they were gambling with them, I mean, investing, trading, gambling, I use them synonymously. Trading with the money. So then when the monies started to run out because they had made bad investments, the people who were doing the trading went to grab the money out, but the money was all pooled together. So people who thought their money was in savings, that money was getting pulled out by people who were doing the much riskier investments in trading. And so there wasn't enough money to go around. So people who thought their money was safe, it was not. And this began the collapse that has had waves, just waves of companies closing. And the ripple effect has been quite large. Some of you were like, Emily, gambling, trading, and investing are not synonymous. I was being facetious. But sometimes when you do it the way that they did it, it is synonymous because I don't think they were actually investing or trading. I think they were, well, gambling. So with all of that, that is FTX. That is a very brief rundown on FTX. FTX had Super Bowl ads, not this year, but last, had massive celebrities. It's crazy. And this is all in the bankruptcy. Just, it's a mess. There were political donations. It is a whole like Shakespearean drama in and of itself, but that's not our point today. Our point today is talking about the YouTube influencers that are being sued for promoting FTX. The FTX disaster is the largest financial fraud in U.S. history. The former FTX CFO, Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF. Look, here's the thing with all of this. There are so many goddamn acronyms. It's just wild. I know. L&L talks about FTX on FNF. Well, a little side of discussing SBF. It's crazy. SBF is facing numerous criminal charges, and the new CEO, who helped wind down Enron, concluded that the fraud was worse than Enron. Billions of dollars have been stolen from investors across the globe. FTX was a centralized cryptocurrency platform specialized in derivatives and leveraged products, filed for bankruptcy protection November 2022, and will be involved with federal bankruptcy proceedings for many years. That's facts. Many, many years. This action may be one of the only avenues for the victims to recover. Plaintiffs bring this action against YouTube and social media financial influencers and promoters who shared financial advice and actively promoted FTX and its yield-bearing accounts, the YBAs. The yield-bearing accounts are part of the problem because they were supposed to be a savings account. They weren't supposed to be a trading account. And that is a problem. I agree that this is worse than Enron from everything I've looked at. Absolutely agree. And there was a really interesting congressional hearing with the new CEO who's winding up the bankruptcy. It's really, if you're interested in the way these things go bad, it really is fascinating. It's tragic, but it's fascinating because people lost so much. I see a lot of you gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Victor Mann and Canonical Heart and Jamie G for the gifted memberships to the channel. It's such a great way to let all the law nerds enjoy. Let all the law nerds enjoy. It's so generous. Thank you very much. This goes on to say, with the rise to prominence of the internet and social media, a new multi-billion-dollar cottage industry of influencers has been created. At multi-billion, is it still a cottage industry? Isn't the influencer economy just like an industry? Isn't the creator economy just an industry at this point? Yes, it is. It's different, but it's always existed. Like, you've always had people who were known for something, promoting things. You have athletes after Olympic events promoting products. You have traditional actors, actresses, singers being the face of brands and beauty houses and things like that. It really is not new. It's just changed. Evidence has now been uncovered that reveals influencers played a major role in the FTX disaster. How? How are the look, influencers might have driven attention to FTX, but how did influencers didn't have any role in where the money went, right? If FTX was operating the way it said it was, this wouldn't be an issue. Anyway, FTX could not have arisen to such great heights without the massive impact of these influencers. Who do people listen to more these days? Is it like Tom Brady or is it Graham Stephan when it comes to investing? Truth be told, I'm grabbing your question. I see it and I want to answer it as we get to questions in a little bit. The FTX platform, let's see. FTX could not have arisen to such great heights without the massive impact of these influencers who hyped the deceptive FTX platform for undisclosed payments ranging from tens of thousands of dollars to multi-million-dollar bribes. That's a huge problem. Undisclosed payments, huge problem. Huge problem. Should always be disclosed. Especially, there's a gray zone here that I don't love, but FTX targeted all of the gray zones and regulations on purpose. Not disclosing payment is a problem. When you're dealing with financial tokens, we just saw Kim Kardashian have to pay over $1 million dealing with this too. When you're dealing with financial tokens, you have to disclose not just that you are being paid, but how much you are being paid. And for those of you asking about the actors, they've been sued in a separate action. So Tom Brady et al. Have been sued in a different action that I covered before the Murdaugh trial started. Undisclosed payments is a problem. Let's see what they say about the bribes in footnote 2. Footnote 2. For example, the company Coinbound touts that we help crypto brands go viral using Web3's top influencer, an influencer marketing agency built for crypto. That's not bribery, though. That's not what that word means. Oy, oy, oy. Indeed, the most searched companies on the internet today are cryptocurrency brands. According to the MBA 2021-2022 Marketing and Partnership Annual Report by Sponsor United, the cryptocurrency industry had a higher search volume during that year than the entire alcohol and beverages industry. It is paramount to understand that the Florida state law claims asserted in this action do not require reliance or deceit. The law merely requires the named plaintiffs and eventually the class to have suffered damages as a result of A, purchasing an unregistered security, and B, that was promoted by defendants for their financial benefit and or the financial benefit of FTX. That's going to be very interesting to see how this law plays. Let's see. Where are their factual? I'm looking for these are the legal allegations. I'm looking for the factual allegations with regard to the parties. Here we go. Plaintiff Edwin Garrison is a citizen of the state of Oklahoma. purchased an unregistered security from FTX in the form of a YBA and the amount of acronyms, and funded the account with a significant amount of crypto assets to earn interest on his holdings. Plaintiff did so after being exposed to some or all, which is it, of defendant's misrepresentations and omissions regarding, which is it, regarding the FTX platform as detailed in this complaint. I want to hear about that. So let's see. This is another plaintiff, additional plaintiffs, defendants. The defendants are digital creators who provide investor information and advice on an array of topics, including cryptocurrency, generally, and FTX on their YouTube channels. YouTube is the second largest search engine, facts, which generates content that is accessible across the globe. YouTube doesn't generate content. No. Creators generate content. YouTube just helps you see it sometimes. Most of the time, I'm just teasing. But YouTube doesn't generate content. Is that me being overly picky? Maybe. The defendants, one, all admittedly endorsed and promoted the sale of FTX YBAs. These are the savings types accounts. They better have links to videos and stuff. They better have saved all of this. And two, none of them disclosed in any of their YouTube and other social media posts that they were paid hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars by FTX and profited from the sale of the YBAs, in clear violation of the SEC, FTC, and various federal and state regulators. And the SEC and the FTC have to deal with it. Defendant Kevin Paffrath, a YouTube star with 1.85 million followers, to his real estate and financial tip channel, Meet Kevin, was paid to endorse FTX. Graham Stephan, a YouTube star with 4.1 million subscribers, was paid to endorse FTS. Jaspreet Singh, a YouTube star with over 1.4 million subscribers, to his YouTube channel Minority Mindset, was paid to endorse FTX. Brian Young, a YouTube star with over 1.3 million subscribers, to his YouTube channel, was paid to endorse FTX. How do they know? If these weren't disclosed, how do they know? I have questions. How do you know? Defendant Tom Nash, a YouTube star with 283,000 subscribers, to his YouTube page, was paid to endorse FTX as a resident of Sydney, Australia. Good luck with that. How are you suing an Australian citizen in this class action? I have questions. Ben Armstrong, a YouTube star with more than 1.5 million subscribers, to his YouTube page, was paid to endorse FTS. Erica Kohlberg is founder of Defendant Creator Agency LLC, is currently identified on Creator Agency's website as its financial business creators. What? With 18 million social media followers. Does Erica have 18 million social media followers? Or does Creators Agency have 18 million followers? Or do the financial and business creators that work with that agency have 18 million social media followers? That's not clear to me. Defendant creator. Wait, where's the rest of them? Where are the rest of the defendants? That's not all. Wait, did I miss somebody? Jeremy L. has over 700,000 subscribers. Are we missing someone? Is that everybody? Maybe that's everybody. Jurisdiction and venue. This court has subject matter jurisdiction over the action. Good luck with the Australian, because this is a class action for a sum exceeding $1 billion.
We're just... How? How are you asserting that this is a $1 billion lawsuit? Other than it might grab headlines more. What is happening? What is happening?
$1 billion lawsuit. All right, $1 billion. They wanted jurisdiction in Florida. Factual allegations. This is all about FTX. I want you to tell me what the influencers did, though. FTX. I understand what FTX did. I've read a number of these FTX lawsuits. We all have. What did the influencers do? Okay, the rise and fall of FTX, great. This looks similar to what's alleged in the other class action. This is SBF going on Twitter apologizing to people. Wonderful. If you want to catch up on the entire FTX scandal. There are plenty of channels that have covered it well, including Rob and CoffeeZilla. FTX insiders pled guilty. Great. What did the influencers do? We're on page 29. Are you going to tell me what the defendants did, or are you just going to tell me about the fact that FTX sucks? Because we get that. This is the whole history of FTX. Who offered it for sale? This is why I do first looks with y'all. We're on page 42, and you haven't told me what the defendants have done. That Texas? Okay. Why is Texas involved? Texas is like, leave me out of this conversation. The FTT token, great. We're on page 47. The FTX platform, fantastic. What did the YouTubers do? The defendants marketed their platform. We might be getting somewhere. We might be getting somewhere. Okay. Marketing. Oh no, there's no table of contents. Okay. We're defining social media influencers. Okay. Unlike mainstream celebrities. Okay, I'm interested to see where this goes. Unlike mainstream celebrities, influencers don't shroud their lives in an air of mystery and present themselves as real-life consumers who share authentic and valuable information with their followers. Footnote 93, the rise of influencer marketing. All you need to know. From Shane Barker. This is a what? We're just linking to a random website. Okay. Sure, that's the footnote. The rise of influencer marketing. While influencer digital marketing is more expensive than other types of paid media, it is? Wait, we skipped a few paragraphs, didn't we? No, we didn't. Yes, we did. Where were we? I'm lost. Damn it. It happens. Okay. Social media influencers. Here we go. Social media influencers are individuals who have amassed a large following on platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. What is large? And use their influence to promote products, services, and ideas. Is that all they do? Okay. Social media influencers are characterized by a huge number of highly loyal and engaged social media followers who share a rapport with their fans and are perceived as everyday people who are experts in their niches. Aren't most of them just everyday people? Unlike mainstream celebrities, influencers don't shroud their lives in an air of mystery and present themselves as real life there should be a comma somewhere, I think, as real life consumers who share authentic and valuable information with their followers. I will tell you, when I tell you that I love something, I absolutely love something. They create content that resonates with their followers. Well, not always. They attempt to, often by sharing their personal experiences, lifestyle choices, and preferences. By doing so, they establish a sense of authenticity and relatability with their audience, which can be incredibly compelling. Influencer marketing thus involves collaborating with a social media influencer to increase brand visibility and strengthen a brand's reputation. Unless it's my poops. They don't collaborate with influencers. They just use music. When executed correctly, it helps win more customers from targeted audience and earn more revenue. Well, then like spamming an ad onto TV that people aren't even paying attention to because people aren't listening to television ads anymore. They're either paying to skip them or they're on their phone playing Love and Pies, while the show's on. That's why people are using influencer marketing. It's because traditional methods of marketing are tired. What differentiates influencer marketing from other types of celebrity marketing is that it is perceived as more authentic and trustworthy because owning to an influencer's rapport with their fans, their recommendations aren't dismissed as fake and sponsored endorsements, which is why they have to disclose them. That's the whole point of that. Instead, the followers often swear by the recommendations made by their favorite influencer. Well, sometimes people just like shit. Because their audience trusts them, they are more likely to take their recommendations, which can lead to increased sales for the products they promote. That's fair. While influencer digital marketing is more expensive than other types of challenge. Team, are we doing it wrong? While influencer digital marketing is more expensive than other types of paid media, studies done on the subject show that the majority of marketing teams have found the return on investment on influencer marketing to be higher than that on other forms of online growth tactics. Footnote 94. Everything you need to know about crypto influencer marketing. Great. According to a recent study, influencer marketing delivers an ROI of $6.50 for every dollar spent. This is far higher than the ROI of other forms of digital marketing. Well, what types of digital marketing are you talking about? I've got questions about all of this, but I'm trying to just get to what the influencers did. This is more studies about Gen Z. 1/4 of Gen Zers learn about finance from social media. Yes, probably TikTok. Yeah. Probably true. Because where else do they don't just learn about finance on social media. The survey results also show that more than 1/3, 39% of Americans under 65 receive their financial advice from social media. Footnote 97. When it comes to where they are getting their financial advice, YouTube is one of the most popular platforms for Gen Z and millennials. You're just ignoring TikTok? Because challenge. More than 60% of respondents who received their information online say they have acted on that advice. YouTube, which allows for long-form content, it does. It does. Agree. We find a place to agree. But I'm really just trying to get to the defendants. Okay, we're almost there. Many of the most famous finance and money social media influencers collaborated with FTX, working under the umbrella of defendant creators agency. That doesn't seem right. Like not like morally. This doesn't seem accurate. This doesn't seem accurate to me. Because did these financial creators get together and create the creators agency, or did they all just happen to work with the creators agency? I have questions. But creators agency is a talent management for digital creators. Creators agency touts its expansive reach, claiming to have reached millions, including 2.94 billion YouTube views. Well, that's just taking everyone that works with their agency and adding their views together. And 27 million YouTube subscribers. Though not all creative agency clients endorsed FTX, many of the talent it manages, including certain of defendants, netted hundreds of thousands. How do you know that? For their parts. Make a note. We're on page 57. What did they do? For their part, the defendants, and it lists them, prior to FTX's collapse, promoted FTX as a safe investment to their legions of followers. So did FTX. So did Tom Brady and Matt Damon. They have now scrubbed their YouTube channels of all clips endorsing FTX and praising Sam Bankman-Fried. I mean, hindsight. In their place, the YouTube influencers have substituted mea culpas and apology videos. Are they wearing gray hoodies? Acknowledging their significant role in promoting FTX and causing billions of dollars of investor losses. How did they know? Just how would they have known? Is there a level of research that would have yielded them awareness? I want to know. For example, defendant Meet Kevin, who, upon information and belief, received $2,500 every time he mentioned FTX in one of his videos. That seems low. Posted a video to his Meet Kevin YouTube channel with over 1.8 million subscribers on November 22nd, 2022, in which he states, yes, I used to be sponsored by FTX. I think that is a disgrace, and it's a scar, and it sucks. If I could go back, I would change it because people got hurt because of that. I feel terribly about that. People got hurt because of FTX, and it's a disgrace. I mean, FTX is a disgrace. Similarly, defendant Graham Stephan had built a loyal fan base on YouTube by sharing financial advice. After aggressively promoting FTX, he posted a video titled My Response to FTX to his YouTube channel with over 4.2 million subs. On November 28th, 2022, in which he states FTX US has been a recurring sponsor here on the channel since spring of this year. I can't even begin to share how devastated and sorry I am. I made the mistake of working with a platform who operates within an industry that does not already have proper consumer protections in place. On the most basic level, I made the mistake of assuming that Sam Bankman-Fried's image had anything to do with his credibility. I fell into this trap of effective altruism. Defendant Tom Nash apparently posted a video following FTX's bankruptcy in which he claimed to have only worked with FTX US and falsely represented that he, in the video, to be 100% operational. Nothing is going on with FTX US. Was that after the bankruptcy? That's not a good look. They linked the YouTube videos. Endorsements by defendants are even more dangerous because of their broad public reach. More than the Super Bowl commercials? Maybe. People are more likely to watch YouTube than network television. Micro celebrities and social media influencers can have outsized influence on an audience. Do they have evidence that anybody was paid? This is going to be very interesting with this lawsuit. Do we get into the other defendants, or have we just moved on? Those are the only two defendants. All right, those are the only two defendants they really talk about. And then they go on to sue. Let's see what they're suing for before we get to the response to this. Count 1, violations of the Florida statute section 517.07, the Florida Securities and Investor Protection Act. Count 2, violations of the Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act. You're going to have to show me how you know, though. Count 3, plaintiffs individually on behalf of class civil conspiracy. How are you going to show that these creators were part of a civil conspiracy? Okay. Count 4, declaratory judgment. I'm skeptical. And that's about it. All right. So they only mentioned 2 apology videos. There's nothing in this, in our quick zoom, and by other looking at this, that shows at all any form of proof that these influencers knew that FTX wasn't adhering to the things that they said. I don't know that this is going to go very far. Here's the thing, though. Not all the influencers took kindly to this lawsuit. I'm sure some of them have responded. This lawsuit so far seems like it's got some problems from the outset. I'm going to go with that. Let's take a look at how one of the influencers responded. This is filed yesterday. Notice of filing and plaintiff's request for a status conference regarding defendant's harassment towards counsel. Look. In a lawsuit that is already kind of shit, or appears to possibly be kind of shit. Let's just go with that. There is a lot missing from that complaint. Yes, it can be fixed down the road. I have skepticism as to how far that lawsuit will go, seeing that after the fall of FTX, they were not the only ones caught off guard. It wasn't just the influencers. It seemed to be basically everyone caught off guard. If they weren't disclosing it, that is a different issue. Separate the not disclosing. If they're not disclosing that those were sponsorships, that's a different problem for the FTC to deal with. That is a huge problem in industry. But it's not just YouTube influencers, because Kim Kardashian just got hit for it as well. Just disclose things. It's not hard. But this can be expensive for people to fight, unless you're in Australia. And then I don't know how they're going to have jurisdiction over someone not even in the US, but okay. This can be expensive to fight. It can be a giant pain in the ass. Let the lawyers handle it. And we know BitBoy Crypto has lawyers. He sued a Tuesday. Regarding defendant's harassment towards counsel, plaintiff respectfully files these materials to the court to provide notice and context supporting their request for a status conference regarding defendant Mr. Ben Armstrong's harassment towards plaintiff's counsel. Declaration of Lorenza Ospina, Exhibit A, emails from Ben Armstrong to plaintiff's counsel, Exhibit B, tweets posted by Armstrong on his Twitter page. Let the lawyers handle it. Let the lawyers handle it. Let the lawyers handle it. But also, if you're not going to let the lawyers handle it, give us all your emails because now we want to know everything. We're here to see what the fuck is happening, and we're literally here for the what the fuck of it all. I am, aren't you? Are you ready? Are you ready for the WTF of it all? Cause I am. I'm ready for it. Let's keep going. Alrighty. Exhibit A. Declaration. Oh boy. I, Lorenza Espina, hereby declare as follows. I have personal knowledge of the facts stated herein, and if called upon as a witness, I would testify. I'm a paralegal at the Moskowitz law firm. I am also primarily responsible for handling all phone calls received on this firm's main line. On March 17th, 2023 at 1:04 p.m., I responded to a call to our firm's phone from an anonymous number. The individual on the line had a male voice and asked for Adam Moskowitz and began ranting about the First Amendment rights. He became vulgar, so I ended the call. Immediately after I disconnected the call, I received numerous additional back-to-back calls from an anonymous number between 1:04 p.m. and 1:43 p.m. A total of 21 calls were received. See call log attached as Exhibit 1. During this time, I also received 3 voicemails on the firm's phone system, Ring Central, which automatically transcribed the messages. A copy of the transcribed messages, as received by Ring Central, are attached as Exhibit 2. When I checked the firm's form submission page that same day, I found threatening emails, which are attached as Exhibit 3. I declare under penalty of perjury. Let's go see what happened. Look, here's the thing. The person answering the phones at the law firm is not the person anyone has beef with. Leave people alone. They're just doing their fucking jobs. Why? Exhibit 1. Here are all the missed calls. This is the call log of missed calls in a frenetic fashion. So those are the missed calls. Exhibit 2. How do they know who's doing this, though? I'm waiting to become clear on how would they know who's doing this. Unknown, 29 seconds, voicemail, 5:38 p.m. Another class of him doing this because I simply couldn't believe it when I saw they're playing games with people's lives. That's not right. I'm to expose a few accidents, what they really are, and what can I say? That video in a month before FPX Glass, to be clear, I'm not claiming that big boy. It's horrible. I think it was locked under. Can you? Unintelligible. Why do you guys hate free speech? So type of loan to we're going send First Amendment protesters, I believe, and free speech and your unintelligible house, where each and every one of your, that might be a curse word and not unintelligible, lawyers sleep at night. All your home addresses are being sick. They don't read it to you. Something and then Cox. Okay. Hey, it's Adam asked, was there a little, oh, those are probably curse words. Boy, so you never heard of the First Amendment. I think I go on YouTube and I say, hey, in my personal opinion is I like such and such company, but I guess it's financial advice. Don't buy him. But my personal opinion is like, yeah, I think they're okay or whatever. And then like a year later, that company goes bankrupt. You think you can, that's probably says sue me, you something sucker. Oh, interesting. This is not great transcribing, by the way. I'm sure they have the tapes saved. So we're going to have a First Amendment protesters around your house 24/7, day and night. Something, boy, you're going to learn about free speech in this country. You're something little. Those are all probably curse words. Emails. These are form submissions. Jack you off from bigbeaver@gmail.com. You're fucked filing frivolous lawsuits. Prepare for hell. You were humiliated today. Lol. Oh boy. I'm not going to read all of the fake emails. You're choosing war with an anonymous community while you yourself are not. Only a couple of bitcoins to get you and your Jesus Christ, people harmed. Please be careful. These people are dangerous and you have only provoked them. Going after lawyers is really pretty disgusting. This is from BitBoy at bitboycrypto.com. Adam, hey motherfucker, Jesus Christ. That's aggressive. Oh my God. Hey motherfucker, guess you do know who I am, bitch. This is unhinged.
I don't, that popped off in an odd way. Just a really strange pop off. But okay.
I'm reading an email, YouTube. Alexa, it's not your moment. I am in the middle of a stream. Okay. Sorry. Where was I? Oh, hey, motherfucker. Guess you do know who I am, bitch. You are such an unbelievably dumb motherfucker that you are leading a lawsuit against me when I have never even promoted FTX. Expect a countersuit, bitch. Hey, Steven, you didn't tell me your boy here is suing me. He's a toxic ambulance chasing cancer. Thank you, Ben Armstrong. Somebody else is CC'd on that. Hey, Adam, I spoke with Steven Castell, and he said you may want to talk and meet about some of the cases you are working on, and also tell you that we are working on this week is fine for me. That's an odd response to that. The thing is, if you directly email the lawyers, it's going to end up in court. If you're the party, let your lawyers handle it. This is the kind of rant you rant at your lawyers. Your lawyers, the ones you hire, they are there to hear your feelings. Your lawyers. And then your lawyers take your feelings and they work it through their channels of emotional regulation. And then they say to the opposing party, you might want to be aware that this particular person you have sued has never promoted FTX. You including them in this lawsuit is a bad look. So you might want to consider just dropping them from the lawsuit now. Happy to hop on a call with you about it this week. Thanks. And then if you get no response, you say, per my last email, we will aggressively defend this lawsuit. My client has never XYZ, but popping off at lawyers this way are not going to help. And then the threats are just going to piss off the court and the lawyers. And what the fuck? It's the internet. People get sued all the time. You don't go threaten the lawyers. Oh, there's tweets. Of course, there's tweets. Samples of public tweets. Hi, my name is Adam Moskowitz. I'm an ambulance chasing douchebag who can't even do my due diligence on crypto lawsuits. I have zero integrity and super small penis, which I actually tried to sue my own mother for. But just like my other cases, I lost that one too. I mean, at least that one might fall under parody. Comedy? Commentary? Like, what the fuck? Lawyers chiming in saying, I better be careful. LMAO. Lamau? Is that how we pronounce that? Lamau? You have to be kidding. There is only one person who better be careful, and it's Adam Moskowitz. I've already told him privately, you do not get to make lies up. You will be held accountable. Hashtag? I guess this is the telling him privately. Okay. Oh dear. Leave a review for Adam. His law firm ambulance chases crypto cases. That's not right though. Those are financial cases. Okay. Emily, don't just keep going. Just keep going. Leave a review for Adam. His law firm ambulance chases crypto cases and is a big reason why the government is able to run roughshod over our space. Man up and do your part. Let these people know we won't take it anymore. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't ask for that. Don't brigade people's reviews. It's going to end up in another lawsuit. BitBoy Crypto probably would have been just dismissed out of this lawsuit and is going to end up in problems for this, not for the underlying lawsuit. CoffeeZilla tweeted, breaking, YouTubers promoting FTX are being sued in a class action lawsuit claiming $1 billion in damages. Retweeted, quote tweeted, sorry, this is a quote tweet. Countersuit coming. The lawyers on this case can't possibly be more stupid. I've never had contact with anyone at FTX and never even had a ref link. Show me you're dumb without telling me you're dumb. I'm going to roast these low IQ plebes and their lawyers. Just go back and watch my coverage of BitBoy Crypto suing a Tuesday, though, because BitBoy seems to be talking about the fact that he can say whatever he wants, but sued a Tuesday for saying it about him. Like the hypocrisy for me. A Tuesday said less about him than what he is now saying about these attorneys, and he sued a Tuesday over it. So which is it? That's my only question. What in the fuck is happening here? And Tammy in the chat is absolutely right. It is roughshod, not roughshod. Okay. Don't review brigade people. I did my part. Oh, and then he posts the review. We're going to see this in a separate lawsuit. We're going to see this in a separate lawsuit. Adam Moskowitz is the worst scum of a lawyer known to man. In fact, his license will probably be taken soon because he has established a habit of ignoring due diligence. Oh, boy. There's memes. Like, what the fuck? Lawyers chiming in saying, I better be careful. Lamau, you have to be kidding. Wait, why is the meme included from Memer? Why is the meme included? Why did the lawyers choose to include the meme? Maybe they think it's funny. I am contacting the state of Florida today about going after Adam Moskowitz's license to practice law. This escalated quickly. Not only is he shorter than the average American male, but he is also a really bad lawyer. Okay. Him filing a lawsuit isn't what's going to do it. CEG Murdaugh and Girardi. Him filing a lawsuit is not. Okay. Why do men? I don't understand this. And I have not seen any women that I know do this. Why do men give so much of a shit about who's short or not? Why? Why does it matter so much? What is that energy? Because it's not big dick energy. Big dick energy doesn't give a fuck about the height of other people. I don't understand trying to make fun of people for being short. I just don't understand. Truly. LOL, ain't that photo from the Bahamas when BitBoy Crypto literally found SBF and opened the truth can to the world? I don't know what that's about. So there's another filing that escalated quickly. I imagine the court is going to address this quickly. So let us take a look. Is this the notice? Oh my God. Plaintiff's request for status conference to bring awareness to defendant Armstrong's harassment towards plaintiff's counsel. Plaintiffs respectfully request a status conference to discuss and address defendant Ben Armstrong's recent threats and harassments towards counsel. It'll be interesting how they know that he's the one making the phone calls and such. I'm interested to see that, how they tie that together. So that'll be interesting. Late last week on March 15th, plaintiffs filed this FTX class action lawsuit on behalf of themselves and all other FTX consumers who against defendants who are quote unquote influencers who promoted and or actively participated in the FTX entity's offer and sale of unregistered securities. Undersigned counsel has other pending FTX lawsuits before this court. One of the defendants named in the complaint is Ben Armstrong, who is a YouTuber. Why is YouTuber in quotes? Who is a YouTuber? With more than 1.5 million subscribers, plaintiffs allege in the complaint that Mr. Armstrong was paid to endorse FTX. Shortly after filing this FTX complaint, defendant Armstrong began harassing plaintiffs' counsel here in this jurisdiction with endless telephone calls, tweets, and emails to him privately and publicly by posting insults and threatening posts on Twitter, YouTube, and other social media. Armstrong's behavior has been quickly escalating. Defendant Armstrong has made numerous calls and emails to counsel's office at the time, making up 21 calls within a 45-minute period. Defendant Armstrong also left voicemails that specifically, well, they would be able to hear his voice and determine that they think it's him. Defendant Armstrong has left voicemails that specifically target undersigned counsel. The voicemails are not only full of vulgarities, but they also include warnings to Mr. Moskowitz. We're going to have First Amendment protesters around your house 24/7, day and night. Isn't that what 24/7 means? In another voicemail, the caller says that home addresses of the lawyers are being circulated on Reddit. Don't do that. Defendant Armstrong has also harassed counsel via emails, such as the one below. Oh, the hey motherfucker email. Defendant Armstrong posted numerous aggressive and threatening tweets, specifically targeting counsel on March 16th at 9:17 p.m. He tweeted, "There is only one person who better be careful, and it's Adam Moskowitz. I already told him privately." Defendant Armstrong has posted a YouTube video directed at plaintiffs and plaintiffs' counsel, where he warns that he is coming at them with quote unquote full force. There's a footnote. The video can be accessed through this link. I'm not linking to the Dropbox. He is encouraging others to join the attack, such as in a recent post he made where he requested his followers attack plaintiffs' counsel. Most concerning is the message Mr. Moskowitz received regarding harm to him and his family, and warns him that, quote, "these people are dangerous and can result in you and your family harmed." These messages prompted plaintiffs' counsel to report Mr. Armstrong's recent attacks to the proper authorities, as it should be. Plaintiffs are disturbed by the harassment directed at their counsel, but moreover, given the gravity of defendant Armstrong's aggressiveness, are concerned for their safety. This is not the first time Mr. Armstrong has caused threatening controversy. It was reported that Mr. Armstrong filed and later dismissed a lawsuit against an individual who discussed Mr. Armstrong's promotion of PAMP Network. Footnote 2. The Atuzzi lawsuit. Look, it all comes full circle. Wait, no. Close. BitBoy lost his lawsuit the instant he filed it. The YouTube cryptocurrency promoter is only drawing more attention to the pump and dump filed over. He'd rather surpass. I don't know. Hours after this editorial was published, Ben Armstrong, BitBoy Crypto, announced during a live stream he would be withdrawing the lawsuit against Atuzzi, saying that he was sorry that this became public, that Atuzzi, you won. Okay. So it all comes full circle. It all comes full circle. Plaintiffs respectfully request the court to take whatever measures and steps that are necessary and appropriate and issue any relief the court finds appropriate to deal with this conduct. This is going to be wild. Just wild. I think we're going to see a circumstance where BitBoy would have been right based on everything I've seen. It would have been a fight for a dismissal, prove that they, have jurisdiction, that he promoted it, whatever. Have the lawyer come in, because it seemed like he had an argument, if he didn't promote FTX, had an argument to be yeeted from this lawsuit. This is going to cause an entirely separate incident. So when he wouldn't have been in trouble, this might actually create the thing. This is wild. I don't like watching people try to wield their audiences like a weapon. I think it just I don't like it at all. I just don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. I think there's plenty of ways to engage an audience and create a positive community, but being like, attack, just manipulates people's emotions to get what you want. It's anyway. So that case that was going to probably have gone nowhere is going to spawn into something else. I imagine these attorneys aren't going to let this go, and that they are going to start escalating the threats and escalating those threats and taking that through law enforcement channels. I imagine that's the way that this is going to go. So we are going to go from something that was probably going to get yeeted to something else entirely. Just don't make it worse. All right, we're gonna switch topics to Murdaugh. I've seen a lot of you asking in the chat why I'm not covering Paltrow. I put up multiple polls and y'all weren't really interested. So after tomorrow's podcast, I will look again and see if you guys have some interest in it, but I'm not going to cover all of it. Tomorrow's podcast covers what's going on in the case, and then we'll see on Thursday if we cover some of it and take a look. But I can't cover it Friday. And then we'll go from there if there is interest, because when I put up, there was low interest from the law nerd community. All right, so today we are moving on, and maybe we'll peek in court when we are done for a little bit. But this is just... We need to talk. We've got a bunch of stuff to talk about before we get to questions, and we've already been on for an hour. So let us continue on. And y'all asking about the Paltrow case, I cover it in tomorrow's podcast. It's a accident on the ski slopes. So maybe we'll peek in a little bit more on Thursday. I'll see how opening statements go and then go through that. But I break the case down tomorrow. If your interest peaks after tomorrow, we'll see. But we have Murdaugh stuff we still have to cover. And we were taking a break from live trials for a minute. They are energy intense. So I want to follow up on the Murdaugh stuff, don't you? And with all of that, we can do a quick Paltrow breakdown at the end of the Murdaugh stuff. Fair, chat? Fair? Is that fair? We'll do a quick rundown at the end. All right. Have you been following FTX? Yes, 14%, no, 63%, kind of 23%. I'm covering the tangential stuff. Hi. It's a rare George sighting. A rare George sighting. A rare. Are we just... This cat has just been lap catting for the last few days, which is so funny. George, do you want to say hi to the law nerds real quick? I know you are never on screen. George is all ginger. And he's like, no, I don't. I want to be in the lap. I don't want to be on screen. I want to be in the lap. I know. You can go curl up in the window. It's cold. It's been cold the last few days. All right. A very, very rare code George. Normally it's Fred who's up on the desk, but George is very upset. George is very much my oldest son's cat. George and he are just connected. So after a week of my kiddo being home and spending all of his day with George and them following each other around the house, etc., school has resumed, and George does not know what to do without his emotional support human being at the house. All right, we're just sitting on my lap. All right. Am I your substitute emotional support human today? I suppose that I am. All right, Georgie. Let's keep going. Which means there's not going to be a screaming. We can't scream the goat because you hate it so much. You hate it so much. All right. Apparently I am George's emotional support person today, and that's okay with me. Let's shift and talk about what is going on. What is going on? So, Miguelina, I see that. All right. let's go to Murdaugh. I think we're going to start with the press conference first. There was a press conference yesterday from Eric Bland regarding the case of Stephen Smith. We're going to do a quick road so far here. In my first Murdaugh coverage, I did an entire breakdown of all of the deaths that were kind of in this orbit and had been talked about with regard to the Murdaugh family. The death of Stephen Smith was very quickly kind of dismissed as a hit and run by law enforcement. It has since come up that others did not believe that it's a hit and run. There aren't a lot of things that are indicia of hit and run for me in the Stephen Smith case, but the investigation was quickly closed and there were some odd circumstances surrounding it, to say the least. Some of those have come forward in by way of speculation. When Maggie and Paul were murdered, the Stephen Smith case was said to be reopened for investigation based on things determined or discovered during the investigation into the death of Maggie and Paul, which shifted attention really to the case again. So with that, Nikki, I agree with you. Hit and run is still murder, but this did not seem like a hit and run case. And with hit and runs, it's different because they're vehicular. So technically, yes, a hit and run can still kill someone. This case, to me, does not look like a hit and run based on all of the factors. So there was a press conference from Eric Bland. Remember, Eric Bland is the attorney for the Satterfield family. Oh my God, you are a big cat. And we are going to go through that press release, and there was a press conference as well. I'm just going through the release. Bland Richter Law Firm to represent Sandy Smith and Stephen Smith death investigation. Columbia, South Carolina, March 19th. Bland Richter, founders Eric Bland and Ronnie Richter, and Stephen Smith's mother, Sandy Smith, will be hosting a virtual press conference Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern regarding the Stephen Smith death investigation. Bland Richter, a leading firm in South Carolina, announced today that it will represent Sandy Smith in the investigation into the death of her son, Stephen Smith. The announcement comes after Smith's family raised funds to exhume his body and perform an independent autopsy to determine the cause of death. Stephen Smith was found dead on a South Carolina road in 2015, and questions were raised about his death during the investigation into the murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh in 2021. State police reopened Smith's case in 2021 after discovering new evidence during the double murder investigation. Smith's mother, Sandy Smith, opened a GoFundMe page in March to raise money for an independent autopsy after state police first said Stephen Smith had car trouble, was walking for help, and got hit by a car. Smith's family believes he was murdered, and they want an unbiased look at his body and an accurate determination of his cause of death based on facts. At the date of this release, the GoFundMe has raised nearly $60,000, and I will link that if you are interested. The Bland Richter Law Firm has a long history of success representing clients in high-profile cases, including multiple victims in the Alec Murdaugh saga, which has captured the nation. I'm streaming, George. You cannot sit here and clean yourself while you are curled up on my lap. It's not going to work for me. It's a no for me. Come on. Cat. It's the Smiths family's turn for justice and real answers about what happened to Stephen. Hit and run? We don't think so. Injustice hides in the shadows. Justice seeks the daylight. A new dawn is rising in the Stephen Smith case, adds founders Eric Bland and Ronnie Richter. Bland, along with award-winning journalist Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell, are co-hosts of the Cup of Justice podcast, which sprung from the Murdaugh Murders podcast, a primary source of information about the crimes associated with the Murdaugh family. Official questions over Stephen's death resurfaced while agencies were investigating the murders of Maggie and Paul. Quote, "We are honored to represent Sandy Smith in this matter. It is Sandy and Stephen's turn for justice and to finally get answers. It's our intention to get them." So that was their press conference. They had a Facebook Live that you can find. I'm going to include the link to the press release that has all of the other links in the chat and in the description for y'all so that you have it. if you are interested in it and if you are interested in the GoFundMe in any way. So with that, we will, and after watching the Murdaugh trial, I can understand why the Smith family is like, no, we need more answers. So they are raising money to have him exhumed and have a private autopsy done. That is an expensive process. And that is part of the disparity when you're looking at our justice system. When law enforcement is, and the coroner is like, this is what it is, sometimes you're just stuck with that result if you can't afford to do it on your own. So I hope that Sandy Smith gets answers. I don't know what those answers will be, but that's what every family who's lost someone to crime deserves. Everyone deserves answers, and I hope she gets them. But as we talk about that, of course, the rumors regarding Buster have continued to swirl in connection with Stephen Smith. And on Jim Griffin's Twitter account, a statement with regard to, a statement from Buster was released yesterday, probably because of the media interest and because of the press conference. So we're going to a tweet from Jim Griffin, if I can pull it up properly, with a statement there. And I'm trying not to get distracted as I get into Twitter. Jim Griffin posted this statement of Buster Murdaugh. So I'm assuming that Jim Griffin is working with Buster Murdaugh or representing Buster Murdaugh. Quote, I've tried my best to ignore the vicious rumors about my involvement in Stephen Smith's tragic death that continue to be published in the media as I grieve over the brutal murders of my mother and brother. I love them so much and miss them terribly. I haven't spoken up until now because I want to live in private while I cope with their deaths and my father's incarceration. Interesting that he notes incarceration and not conviction. That might not be something, it's an interest. Look, again, that's a point of interest to me. This was a well thought out statement. So it's a point of interest to me that the word is incarceration and not conviction. But many have asked, does Buster think that his dad did it? And I just have to wonder, based on this languaging, if the answer is no. Before, during, and since my father's trial, I have been targeted and harassed by the media and followers of this story. This has gone on for too long. The baseless rumors of my involvement with Stephen and his death are false. I unequivocally deny any involvement in his death, and my heart goes out to the Smith family. I am requesting that the media immediately stop publishing these defamatory comments and rumors about me. I don't think the media is going to do that, but I think harassment isn't proper. As I say in all cases, no matter what you think of Buster Murdaugh and what questions you might have, there's lots of questions. I think harassing him is not the right response. This is getting lost on the internet, but there is a way to ask questions that aren't harassment. Though I also know that when people have not been held accountable, accountability might feel like harassment even when it's not. And there is a fine line between asking questions and having conversations and harassment. We are law nerds. We know that line. That's what our community does. We have nuanced conversations and we can say, I have questions, but following someone to their home and threatening them is improper. Asking questions, even if the answers might be uncomfortable, is absolutely proper. So Jim Griffin was on Andrew Cuomo to talk about that last night. If you want to see it, that is on the YouTube, but also there are released audio calls of a Jim Griffin call with Alec Murdaugh. It's been called leaked. I don't know if it's actually leaked. Here's the thing. A podcaster, I think, did a Freedom of Information request and requested the jail calls of Alec Murdaugh. And one of the calls that was sent to them, so sent to them, not leaked to them, sent to them, was a call between Jim Griffin and Alec Murdaugh. Those should be flagged and not sent because they are attorney-client calls. Because that should not have been sent, I am not going to play it. But I don't think that is a leak. I think that was a mistake on behalf of law enforcement. So I am going to go through the transcript of the call. Of course, law enforcement has said, can we take it down? And it's already gone viral across social media. So there's no taking it down now. The shit is well out of the horse on this, but it has been covered pretty thoroughly. So I wouldn't, if I had received it, for me, I wouldn't have released it. That's where I'm at. But also, I don't know if somebody's under any obligation if they are receiving that. It's not for them to determine whether or not that was improperly sent to them. They sent a request to law enforcement. Law enforcement sent them back the calls and they were like, this is the call I was sent. So you've got to find where you fit on that spectrum. So that's not the thing I wanted to pull up. Here. We're going to go to a story about that kind of covers the call. And if you probably have already seen this on TikTok, if you're on TikTok, Alex was using Jim for three-way calls, which makes it harder to determine what's actually attorney-client privilege. He's also been, Alec has also been using other people's numbers, their in custody numbers, to route calls so his calls wouldn't be turned over because he knows how that works. And so in trying to make sure his calls weren't turned over, he tried to route them elsewhere. Sheriff's office releases Alec Murdaugh jailhouse phone calls with defense attorney, then asks people not to share it. This has way too many ads. Let's see if I can just put this in reader mode. There we go. Alec Murdaugh speaks with his defense attorney, Jim Griffin, in the Colton County Courthouse. Oh, that's the photo. A jailhouse recording of convicted double murderer Alec Murdaugh speaking with one of his defense attorneys was released over the weekend, a recording that appears to have been made sometime during the trial. After the call was released and widely shared, however, law enforcement backtracked and requested people not share it. The shit is well out of the horse. We're going to go through the call right now. I mean, did the podcaster know about the privilege? And that's I don't think you're joking about like a TikTok privilege or a podcaster privilege. Can we expect the people who law enforcement shares this to be the ones to determine that this was a conversation with his lawyer? I don't know. So I don't know. Alec, I really got to go to bed and call my wife, attorney Jim Griffin says on the phone call. I know that, and I'm going to let you go, Murdaugh says. But the one thing I wanted to tell you, please don't think I'm being critical about that because I'm not. I don't think you could have done a better job with him than you did today. This is talking about one of the witnesses. I don't know which one. Okay, Griffin says. Griffin sounds exhausted on this call. Murdaugh continues, but I do think there's something to think about because there's one thing that seems to me to be a big deal, and that I don't know that the jury understands that right now. Griffin then signals that he understands what his client is referring to. He says, no, I get it. I get it. A few beats pass before Griffin attempts to end the call. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Murdaugh then reiterates, all right, but remember what I said. Please don't take that as me being critical. So even though they were talking after court and at the breaks, this is another call at the end going, ugh. I thought you did an excellent job with him, Murdaugh makes clear. The two exchange farewells and note that they will talk and see each other the next day in the final seconds of the call. This recording was obtained and released by Hidden True Crime, a media organization run by a husband and wife duo. Let's see. In February, they did an open records request and asked for any and all jail calls made or placed by Alec Murdaugh. Lauren Mathias explained that the recording, along with 28 other phone calls that were mostly hangups, were released by the sheriff's office late last week. The call between Murdaugh and Griffin was posted on TikTok in order to elicit additional information about the exchange from court watchers. Typically, conversations between attorneys and their clients are protected. That conversation is a protected conversation, which protects and is determined by the client. Often the client must raise the privilege. These shouldn't have been released. Murdaugh's attorney on the call for his part confirmed he was the other person and expressed outrage over the turn of events. "It's me and I'm mad as hell," Griffin said in a tweet reply to another Twitter user's client privilege concerns about the audio. This is a problem on law enforcement. Now, what the media should release and should not release, if law enforcement gives it to them, I think it's really gray, and that goes to the person. But what's in the call is not going to be devastating one way or the other. It shouldn't have happened, but it shouldn't have happened on law enforcement. And that's part of it. So, somebody asked, why were calls hangups? I can only speculate. Shall I do that? Sometimes. I can't say that that's happening here, but sometimes it's to see if somebody's there before you call from a different number that they might not recognize. Because when you call, inmates are given an ID number and they use that ID number to make phone calls. And then it says who's calling. So the hangups might be making sure somebody answered, hanging up, and then calling back from a different ID number. And with the different ID number of a different inmate, when someone does an information's request for jail calls, they just run the number and pull all the calls, run them through to make sure there aren't any attorney calls, and then release them. But if you're using different numbers, unless somebody knows the number, then you can't get those calls. So that could be what's happening, but that is speculation. But the call's not spicy. I'm sure Jim Griffin is pissed. But it's just Alec being critical. Like, I'm not sure the jury's understanding you, Jim. And Jim's like, I got to call my wife and go to bed. These attorneys would have been exhausted, but we're not done with this. Mudcat, I appreciate your statement. I disagree. The corrections department generally will take the calls and send them to the department that got the request. The department that got the request, in this case, the Colton County Sheriff's Office, Colton County Sheriffs then go through the calls and determines what's released, not the corrections department. So it is different. And this is Colton County Sheriffs that should not have released that call. So why did Buster retain all rights to his pictures and life story and settlement with the Beach family? I haven't looked at the Beach family settlement. And I don't know. So I would need more context, Vortex. Should we go to questions? I feel like we should go to questions. So with that, Lauren Mathias is a seasoned journalist and knows it shouldn't have been released. However, if they release it, she can share it. I agree. There's nothing legally keeping her from sharing it. This shouldn't have been released to them. I don't know if she would have even known that that was Jim Griffin's voice. If you haven't watched this trial day in and day out, how do you know that? So I think there's room to do it. Or there's choice. I mean, media outlets are protected. If somebody stole documents and put them in a brown envelope and mailed them to the New York Times didn't do anything wrong to get it, and they can do it. So with that, we are going to move on to questions. Do you want me to peek out? Let me put a poll up. I'm going to go to questions. We can peek in and see what's happening in the Paltrow case if you want to take a peeky peek. I'm going to put up a poll and ask right now, but we are going to answer questions too because I have a bunch of super chats to get to. Where did my chat go? Hold on. Streamer problems. It's time for a stretch break. We're all just gonna do this, right? Let me find the chat that I lost so I can put up a poll real quick. Miguelina, how did I lose my chat? Let's see. All right. I've got questions. You've got questions. We've got questions. I wanted to be able to see my chat. It's time to back around. All right, let's get to questions. I've been asked a lot today about Paltrow. I break down the case tomorrow. I've got all of the tea in tomorrow's podcast. The audio only drops at like 4 a.m. The video drops at 11 a.m. That's tomorrow. The trial started today. So that is going on. Why is the poll like broken? Hold on. I know. I see y'all that the poll's broken. That's so weird. All right, let me end it and try again. That's on YouTube. Y'all, the law nerds broke it. All right, let's do it this way. Let's see if that works this time. I don't know what happened. All right. So with all of that, it is a ski slope collision. She is being sued and she is countersuing. The question is negligence. Who ran into who on a ski slope? That's it. Who ran into who? Who ran into who? Did I spell peak wrong? I probably did. I do that. No, I didn't. I didn't spell peak wrong. Here's why. It's a ski slope collision. No, I absolutely spelled it wrong. It's still broken. That's got to be on YouTube. Sorry, y'all. That is not us. That is on YouTube's end. Miguelina, do you want to try to put it up and see if it works? But I wonder if YouTube's polls are down. We have such a powerful community that we just break shit. Look, it's Aries season. Shit's coming in with some fire. I'm going to answer some questions. We'll try it one more time and we'll see. I think they have already completed opening statements this morning and are going to be getting into the in and out of a trial. This, again, ski slope collision, it's only over liability and negligence. Who's responsible for hitting whom on the ski slope? I don't think we're going to see either of the parties testify today. It's going to be a lot of depositions and the medical testimony, but I think we've gotten through the opening statements. So with all of that, let's answer some questions first and then take a look. All right. Katharina said, I got my ADHD diagnosis this morning at age 38. Thank you so much for your openness around it. It really helped to see things differently. You're welcome. I am here for it. Any plans to cover the Zachariah Anderson case? I have not heard of the Zachariah Anderson case. I can always take a look, but I do not know. So at this point, no, but that no is always I'll take a look. Danielle B, I can't comment in the chat. Not sure why. Make sure that you are subscribed because we do have on subscribers mode and YouTube will unsubscribe. So make sure you are subscribed and that might fix it. What is this all related to the SVB? Wait, is this related to the SVB bank collapse at all? I don't know if the bank collapses are connected to FTX. I don't know if those ripples cause that. I just don't know. Will the head guy ever face jail? Truth be told, was talking about SBF at this point. I think SBF will. SBF has been indicted on numerous criminal counts. So I think there will be some of that. Let's see. I think there will be some of that. So we'll see when we get to the end of the indictments. And I went through the indictments just a little bit. If you want me to go through the indictments again, I can. Love your frames. Where can I find them? These are Lens Crafters and they are Dolce and Gabbana frames. Are you going to cover Sanderson v. Paltrow? I put up polls last week. Tomorrow is my big breakdown of the case, and then we'll go from there. How is this different from the Fire Festival lawsuit? It's not a ton different from the Fire Festival lawsuit, but I have less confidence in this lawsuit just because of this. I don't understand how these influencers promoted it because the lawsuit doesn't say this is how they promoted it. The lawsuit said, here's the apologies, but it never really talked about how they promoted it. So, how are they going to assess the degree of liability? Catherine, I don't know which case we were talking about. In the ski crash case, they're going to have to determine who caused the crash. So, question, why are you not covering the Gwyneth Paltrow case live? Because the law nerds said that they weren't interested when I asked last week. First live since trial was having EDB withdrawals, not the way AM. Yeah, he shit his pants in the car. So, question, could the lawyer sue Armstrong for defamation or something applicable? Right now, I think it's going to be forwarded to law enforcement for harassment. I would have to go back and look again on that. I would have to go back and look again. The interference with the business is difficult but he's directly calling for people to go and leave reviews, even though they're not involved. But even that's difficult. We saw that play out in the H3 case. I don't know. Pastor Prime, question, was the armpit guy the coroner on the Smith case? I don't know who the pathologist was on the Smith case. I would have to go look. So let us go. Wouldn't it be possible that the calls could have come from his fanboys and subscribers? I think that's absolutely possible, Nefertiti. That's why I said I'm not sure how they know it's him. Other than the voicemails, if they can identify his voice because they know what he sounds like from YouTube, possibly. If they have the email, which they have, that's one way that we see it, and then we'll see the rest. I just saw another question. DA got kicked out of court, EDB. I don't know what that's regarding, Doodlebug. Somebody put a question in front of it. I don't know what that's regarding. Me and Toddler are sad at home, but appreciating lawyer auntie after having to cancel our trip to see my 93-year-old grandmother. I'm so sorry. Canceled trips are the worst. Airline issues are the worst. Sean, I've been lurking since the Depp trial. Love your commentary and humor. Thank you. Today was a whole lot of fuck around, and we might see the find out after it. Have you seen the mugs with Judge Newman's face on them? They say bring the jury. I haven't seen that. I always hesitate to put people's likeness on things because there's rules. Texas said, nice sharing my 65th birthday with you. Cheers. Happy birthday. Simply Cheryl said his mom has raised over 71,000 now. Great. I live here in Columbia. To those asking, they aren't going to release evidence yet because it's ongoing. Yes, they're definitely not going to release evidence yet because it's ongoing. So, all right, poll. I have a little bit of time left. I'm going to go to a few more questions, and maybe I'll just ask questions over Paltrow. I cannot be here all day on this because I have a number of other things that I have to take care of today. If we're interested, I might be able to take a look tomorrow, but I am not going to be able to do gavel to gavel this week. So with all of that, let me go take a look, and we'll do a little bit. I think they're still in some of their opening statements. So let's just take a peek a little bit at what's going on with live trial in the Paltrow case. Again, this is a ski collision. That's what this case is. This is who hit who on a hill, and tomorrow's podcast breaks that down more. All right, let's take a look. This looks like we're still in opening.
Essentially, with this lawsuit.
Oh gosh, sound.
I mean, I think the best thing after this is over, this will be a good thing, win or lose, I think.
Objection, Your Honor. That's our argument.
Sustained.
They will say that. Our experts.
Objection, Your Honor.
Our experts will say that.
Oh dear.
Is that objectionable?
Yes.
No.
You've been very kind. I'm going to end here with
Oh my.
Lady Justice. So the blindfold you get,
Oh gosh.
we're not going to feel sorry for them. We're not going to make our decision on that. The weighing of evidence, they have to have more evidence than not. And the sword,
Val is
we
saying,
are defending
who's higher on the mountain?
a false allegation.
Objection.
And we need your help. And
Your Honor,
thank you so
this
much
is
for
argument.
doing it.
Should be sustained.
I'm done, and
Overruled just a little latitude there.
that's about 10 overruled objections during my closing, which
Opening.
I
That
think
was
is inappropriate. Your
your
Honor.
opening.
Why don't we approach the bench?
This is going to get snarky if they had that many objections during opening. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Who was higher on the mountain? Gwyneth Paltrow says she was. The doctor says he was. This is going to be interesting. This is already a mess, and we're just at the end. Both parties say they were higher on the mountain. Now we've got a little bit of snark. That's a lot of lawyers. This started in the motions in limine yesterday. Yesterday. I was talking about them yesterday when I recorded the podcast very late. This goes through the motions in limine where they're talking about what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. I talk about that in tomorrow's podcast. Can you ask for sympathy of the jury or not? But this is opening. I will go through the opening and clip out some moments to give with you guys. 70
justice and conservation ever.
What the
anywhere
fuck?
in the world.
No. Stop it. Oh, the bait and fucking switch. Don't switch coverage. Just leave. We are going to have to get our own feeds. All right. Hold on. Just clicking away to something else is so freaking annoying. Nobody was closing. That was an opening. I don't know which lawyer's which yet. We just turned it all in together. So it's going to be fun. I was like, ugh. Oh, this is delightful sound. This is why we can't do that. This is why we can't do this. So it's a lot of lawyers. It is. This case started as a $3 million ask with a 69-year-old at the time of the incident. This incident happened in 2016. So that probably would have been Paltrow's attorney but I don't know if they've already gotten through the other side's opening yet. So if it was, Gwyneth Paltrow's side will go second. So dude on the ski slope sues Paltrow. Paltrow counterclaims him.
Okay, we're going to take our noon recess at this time. I've been informed that lunch will be available for the jurors. Just to let you know, the parties have agreed to split the cost of lunches so that you don't have to try to travel out to go find lunch. You're certainly welcome to go if you'd like, but lunch will be provided for you, and we'll reconvene at 1 p.m. Thank you.
All right. They're breaking for lunch. The video feed for Paltrow is limited to Court TV per the court's order. It's not. This is a pool feed. There is one pool of cameras, Court TV's pool of cameras, and then those pool feeds, any other media outlet can use them. Let's go to openings real quick. Let's see if we can zoom through them at like 1.25 and take a look at opening statements real quick. All right. Let's just back it up. Let's just back it up and go to openings. Let's put them on 1.25 and see how we go for a little bit and see how, let's see how we go. All right. That's what we're doing. I'll answer as we need to. Gwyneth Paltrow is countersuing for $1.
To rely on the opinion, but you are not required to do so.
All right. These are opening jury instructions.
Will be with you in the jury room and help explain the jury room when you deliberate. You may consider them to the extent that they correctly reflect the evidence.
These are opening jury instructions. I'm not doing opening jury
Or
instructions.
practices.
They're not helpful to us at this point. They're helpful to the jurors, but for our purposes, there we go.
I neglected to do that. If you could please introduce who's at your table and your client, please.
All right, introductions.
Good morning. My name.
Hold on. Introductions we need. We need these. These are important.
My name is Robert Sykes. This is Lawrence Bueller. He and I are the
One of the lawyers is named Bueller? Oh my God. All right. Sykes, Bueller, and who?
co-lead counsel here. We also have Kristen Van Norman and Peter Sorensen. Altogether, we are honored to represent Terry Sanderson here at the end. Thank you.
Ah.
And the defense.
Thank you.
All right. Hold on. Okay. So this is lead counsel. Bueller is co-counsel. This dude in the suit over here in the purple tie is the plaintiff. The plaintiff is the dude who is suing. So that dude on the end is the dude that's suing. He was 69 in 2016 when this happened. So he's in his 70s. Look, man, that man looks wonderful for his 70s. Life in Deer Valley must be amazing. Colorado air. So that's their table. All right, let's keep going.
Are the co-lead counsel here.
So that's
We
the
also
plaintiff in the
have, Kristen
purple
Van
blue
Norman
tie.
and Peter Sorensen. Altogether, we are honored to represent Terry Sanderson here at the end. Thank you.
That dude.
And the defense.
Thank you. My name is Steve Owens. I'm here in town.
So this is Gwyneth Paltrow's side of the table.
Firm called, well, I should say Salt Lake City, at a firm called Epperson and Owens. This is James Egan, Noreen Aburama, Peter Jensen, and we're all here for Ms. Paltrow.
Who doesn't stand up in front of the jury.
Thank you.
Brett, thank
Ah! That was user error. Damn it. It shifted. Hold on. Darn it. Now I've got to get back to the introductions. I was trying to hit pause. All right. We found it. We found it. We found it again. Give me 1 second.
Steve Owens. I'm here in town at a firm called, well, I
This
should say
sound is
Salt Lake
awful.
City, at a firm called Epperson and Owens.
All right.
This
We're
is
going to
James
zoom
Egan.
this and get to opening statements.
Testing.
All right. Let's.
Your Honor, while we're doing that, we should be clear that no witnesses at the trial are permitted in this courtroom. I'm not keeping track of everyone, but the exclusionary rule applies.
Exclusionary rule will apply, meaning that anyone who will be a witness in this case cannot sit in and listen to the case before they testify. So if there's anyone here that's
The
a witness,
sound is
you'll need to leave the
difficult.
courtroom now. Thank you.
All right. Judge Holmberg.
Did we get it operating? Okay.
And they are trying to get the audio operating. The audio right now is terrible.
Start again. Ladies and gentlemen.
Still can't hear.
Oh, well, let's try this. Is that better? Rotate the base of that.
Oh, good God. They're in Colorado.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, distracted skiers cause crashes. Defendant Gwyneth Paltrow knew that looking up the mountain and to the side while skiing down the mountain was dangerous. And she knew that skiing that way, looking somewhere else, blindly skiing down a mountain.
How do you know this? How do you know this? How do you know where she was looking? He would, oh, sorry, Utah, not Colorado. You're right. No, it's Deer Valley, but also Utah, not Colorado. Apologies. Look, it was a long evening recording the podcast on this. How do you know that? How do you know that?
By looking up and to the side was reckless.
This happened in 2016.
And she knew if she continued to ski that way, that it was not a matter of if, but when, by looking up and to the side,
Oh, God.
it was not a matter, she would crash into somebody below her, and someone would get seriously and permanently hurt. She knew what she was doing was dangerous. She knew it was reckless, and somebody would get hurt anyway. I think I just said that. But before we get into the details of this case,
Y'all.
of how Gwyneth Paltrow's neglect, her choices, and her conscious disregard for other people on the mountain all combined together to cause Terry Sanderson to suffer 4 broken ribs and permanent brain damage We first have to talk how skiers are supposed to ski down a mountain, what the rules of safety are, and the purpose for those rules, and what happens when skiers break those rules.
He is reading his opening.
That way we will all be on the same page, and we can get into the details of this case.
These are
Okay?
opening statements from the plaintiff, Sanderson.
All skiers know that when they are skiing down the mountain, it's their responsibility to pay attention,
That's true.
look downhill,
Yep.
and yield the right of way to the skiers below them.
Great.
Because the skiers below them can't see behind them to control, as they turn left and right.
This is the plaintiff's
to control their
attorney,
speed, especially when there's multiple people on the
not
mountain.
Paltrow's attorney.
It's the uphill skiers' responsibility to yield the right of way to those below.
This case was filed in 2019.
And it's never enough to say, well, so what if I crashed into someone that was below me on the mountain? That doesn't mean it's all my fault. Because especially on a beginner run,
I don't know what's happening.
they know that
Y'all,
skiers
this
may
is
be
gonna
less experienced,
painful.
and that skiers below them trust that the ones coming behind are paying attention. That's what skiers do. Before they start down a hill, they take account of how many skiers are below them, what those skiers are doing,
Oh,
and
not-
they keep their eyes forward
They
down the
take
hill,
account, not
so
like
they can yield the right of way.
counting. They like look.
And even though it can be challenging sometimes when skiers do these things, they get to enjoy skiing, they get to enjoy practice their skiing, and most importantly, everyone gets to go home safe at the end of the day,
Okay.
and that's a good thing. But some skiers say, well, what's so wrong with looking up the mountain, behind me, and to the side while skiing down the hill? Just because a crash occurs on the mountain with somebody that was below me, that doesn't mean it's my fault. And some skiers say, well, what if the person below me on the mountain was changing directions quickly? Maybe it's their fault too. And finally they say, look, what's the big deal? You're not that hurt. And it's attitudes like this, behavior like this, and choices like these when crashes happen. And sometimes it's just a bump or a bruise. Sometimes it's a scare or a close call. But sometimes it's worse.
It's
sometimes
real
it's broken
scary.
bones,
Crashing
Sometime-
skiing is no joke.
a concussion or permanent brain damage. And that's exactly
People
what
get
happened
killed
here.
skiing.
So let's get into the details of the case.
Let's.
Lieutenant Gwyneth Paltrow has skied since she was 3 years old and considers herself an intermediate skier. Miss Paltrow has skied about a half a dozen times
Since she
at
was
Deer Valley
3?
Ski Resort. She hires multiple ski instructors for her children, which allows them to skip the lines. The private instructors cost thousands of dollars per day. On the day of the collision, February 26, 2016, Miss Paltrow is skiing at Deer
Interesting that he's like, the private ski instructors allow them to skip the lines. Celebrities pay to skip the lines at Disney with the private tour guides. Like, are we shocked that rich people pay to skip the lines? Look, if I can pay for a fast pass at Disney, I'm sure going to do it. The private tour, maybe not. But also, this was a beginner run. This was a beginner run.
Valley with 9 people, including her 2 children, her future husband, Brad Falchuk, his 2 children,
Y'all,
and
I don't know
4
about this
Deer
trial.
Valley private ski instructors. Eric Christensen is one of those private ski instructors.
Four
He
ski
has worked for
instructors.
Ms. Paltrow's family for a handful of ski vacations in past seasons. Eric Christensen knows the family well enough that one time he sent her son some pottery that he hand makes. A few minutes before noon, Ms.
Okay.
Paltrow's group of 10 meet at the top of Bandana Ski Run to go to the bottom for lunch. Bandana is a green run about 3/4 of a mile long. Deer Valley grooms Bandana
This is going to
every
not
day,
be
every ski day.
thrilling,
Skiers
y'all.
have skied on it for 3 hours. The snow is packed. Although a green run, Bandana is steep enough for skiers to pick up speed.
Did you get some good speed?
Unless they make turns.
Is it fun?
Slow signs are always at the top. I'm just going to show you a picture of that real quick.
I would love to see
This
it.
is not the actual ski day or the event. This is just an example of what Bandana looks like.
So for those of you asking about attorneys, being not a, first of all, civil attorneys don't go to trial nearly as much as criminal attorneys do. They just don't. So they have less practice going to trial. Going to trial on television
the top of
is a
Bandana
whole
Ski
different
Run.
thing.
This is not
But
the day of the crash.
a lot
That's
of
near the
lawyers
crash
just aren't
site.
charismatic.
And as you can see, the top of the lift is where people get off and start to ski.
I'm bummed
They
that we
come
can't
down,
see it.
And the rest of Bandana goes down.
Oh, there we go.
Another half mile or so.
Yay! Can we go home now? Not yet. We're gonna watch a little bit of these openings. I've put them on 1.25, and we'll see.
I just had one of Bob's fisherman's friends cough drops, and it's a little drier than I expected.
Great.
Also at the top of Bandana is a meetup group of about 6 adults. A meetup group is a group that meets online to engage in activities like skiing,
like actually meet up.
hiking, or bowling, or many other activities.
My husband wanted me to go bowling over
Plaintiff Terry
spring break,
Sanderson is in this meetup group.
and I was like, Dr. B,
4 in the meetup group
these don't
ski down.
bowl.
4 of those in the meetup group
We went to Top Golf instead.
ski down first. Then Sanderson skis down to the right. Craig Ramone is another person in the meetup group who skis about 35 feet
Should we
behind
still?
Sanderson.
Should we speed them up a little bit more?
Sanderson
All right.
and Ramone know each other only through skiing in this meetup group.
That's better.
So they're not really close friends, but they know each other. And they've only done about a half a dozen of these meetup groups together.
I don't know if I'm going to do all of this.
At the top of
This is opening statements.
Bandana, Ms. Paltrow, her 2 kids, and their 2 instructors are ready to go down to the bottom of Bandana for lunch. Before they ski, one of Ms. Paltrow's children says, Mommy, watch us ski." Okay.
How do you
The
know
children
that?
and their 2 instructors ski to the left. And the 2 instructors are Eric Christensen.
What
and
evidence
Perry
will
Oak.
show that?
Ms. Paltrow skis down to the right. She turns her head up to look at her children. As she turns her head back down, she screams. Then skis back into the back of Terry Sanderson. She rides us back down. They hit the ground hard, and Ms. Paltrow bounces off of Terry. The weight of both of them,
Bounces?
their bodies, cause
Can we just
Mr.
be honest
Sanderson's
that the
rib
weight
cage
of
and his
Gwyneth
arm to smash into
Paltrow
the
is
ground,
not,
breaking 4 of his ribs.
I mean, a ton.
2 of them completely. Sanderson's helmeted head hits the ground, causing a concussion as his brain strikes the inside of his skull. Sanderson is face down in the snow, unconscious. Skiing 35 feet above them, Craig Ramone is the only eyewitness to of the crash. Ramone skis down
What's
and
interesting,
stops just next to.
they say Craig Ramone is the only witness to the crash. Paltrow's side say Christensen is the only witness to the crash. The 2 stories on this are so freaking divergent, it's wild. The plaintiff's story and the defense story are in totally different universes of what happened. It's wild.
He asks if they are okay. They say nothing. Ramone, again, is the only witness of this crash.
Ramone was
Ms.
up the
Paltrow is
hill.
slow to get up. Her son's instructor, Harry Christensen, skis over from the left and stops above Sanderson and screams at Sanderson, who is not moving. "What did you do? What did you do?" Surprised by the crash and Christensen yelling at Sanderson, Ramone thinks, "Why is this Deer Valley guy screaming at Sanderson? He didn't cause this collision."
He will testify.
Christensen doesn't let up, so Ramone steps between them. Christensen stops yelling at Sanderson. Sanderson is still not moving. They ask Sanderson if he is okay, but Sanderson only groans. Craig Ramone turns to Paltrow.
Is
"Are
he
you okay?"
standing up?
He asks several times.
Is he laying
"Are
down?
you okay?" She doesn't say a word, and she slides a few feet down the hill. Terry moves a little and groans. "My ribs." Paltrow turns away and bolts down the mountain to the bottom.
He's not a very
Christensen
compelling
turns to Ramone.
storyteller, sadly.
"Do you realize your buddy just took out Gwyneth Paltrow?" Sanderson moves more, trying to get his skis around.
How do
Eric
they know it's
Christensen steps
Paltrow?
closer to Sanderson, picks him up by his hands, and stands him up. Snow is caked in Sanderson's goggles. Christensen turns his skis down the mountain, and he bolts, skiing straight to the bottom, following Paltrow's group, leaving Sanderson and Ramone alone at the crash site. Sanderson is standing but hunched over, mumbling. And Ramone says, "Do you think you can ski?" "I think so." Sanderson tries, but
He's
skis
trying to
poorly.
tell a story.
Ramone says, "Stop, you forgot how to ski." "Do you know your name?" "Terry." "Do you know where you are?" "I have no clue."
He's trying to tell the story.
Ramone says, "Let me get some help." And Ramone steps back, flags down a Deer Valley employee and says, "Can you get ski patrol here? This guy's been hit. He's hurt, and he's just out of it, disoriented." Within minutes, a Deer Valley ski patroller, Whitney Smith, arrives with a sled. Smith examines Sanderson, puts him in a sled, and takes him down to the first aid station at the bottom of Bandana. At the first aid station, Sanderson again is evaluated, and he still has some disorientation. His ribs hurt. Whitney Smith tells him, and the group of people in the meetup group that are with him, he needs to go to an Instacare in Park City. Terry goes to the Instacare with someone who drives him. He's not sure who it was. And at the Instacare, he's evaluated, but the Instacare says you need to go to an ER room.
Where is Ski
it
Patrol?
appeared that his pain in his ribs might be broken, and he still had, or he reported that he was unconscious. The next day, Terry goes into the VA emergency room. So what does the defense have to say about these things? First, they say, that's not the way this happened. He hit me from behind. I know the witness Ramon says he heard me scream and look up and saw the crash. I never saw Sanderson before he hit me. Sanderson was the one who hit me.
That's exactly
This
what they
wasn't my
say.
fault.
Yep.
They also say, the defense, this is all Sanderson's fault. He's the one who can't remember the crash. My ski instructor, Eric Christensen, said he saw Sanderson above me making big turns and going really fast.
That's what they
This
say.
is Sanderson's fault. And they say, look, what's the big deal? He's 69 years old. Our doctors say he had some dementia, blindness in an eye, and many other problems. Yeah, he broke some ribs, but those will heal. And 85% of people with brain injuries heal. What's the big deal? Oh, and look at his high test scores. He can't have a brain injury. And finally, they say, so what if he had a head injury and 4 broken ribs on the day of the crash? 8 hours later, he wrote to his daughter, I'm famous. That shows he can't be injured. And this is just about celebrity of Miss Paltrow.
There is a text to the daughter saying, I'm famous.
Because of the defense's claims,
Which is interesting.
that nothing Miss Paltrow did caused this crash and his injuries, we, on behalf of Terry and his family, we contacted Dr. Richard Bain, a neurologist and biomedical engineer. He applies medicine and physics to understand traumatic brain injuries like this. Dr. Bain,
Okay.
the defense says nothing they did caused this crash and Terry Sanderson's injuries. Is that true? And Dr. Bain says, well, I don't know. Give me everything you've got, including medical records, scans, x-rays,
He
reports, and so
texted
forth.
his
and I want to
daughter,
examine
I'm
him.
famous.
Then I'll look at his case. But just so you know, you may not like what I
after this
say,
crash,
but I'll tell you true.
which is
So we give
odd.
Dr. Bain the x-rays, the tests, the reports, and Terry sees him for an exam. And after Dr. Bain has reviewed these things, we call him up. So Dr. Bain, what do you think? Bain says, no, actually, absolutely, she caused this crash. She hit him
How?
from behind, which means she was higher on the hill than him. Well, but how do you know? Well, he broke his 4 ribs when she hit his back, knocking him down to the ground, and she landed on top of him, just like Ramon, the witness, said. The only way for his broken ribs on the right side could fracture like this is if she hit him from behind and landed on top of him, pressing his right arm into his chest.
that will be the most interesting testimony for who did this, is how his ribs were broken. And that's where the battle of the expert was. Jer said, was there an anti-slap motion? This is not a defamation case. This is a negligence case. So no, anti-slap only deals with defamation cases. This is who crashed into who on the ski slope. So this is this is going to be a lot of medical testimony on who hit who. This is very interesting. The way his ribs broke will actually be very helpful knowing. So this is a civil case. Who is liable? Did Gwyneth Paltrow hit Sanderson, or did Sanderson hit Paltrow? That is all the jury has
That's really
to
the only
decide.
way to have broken 4 ribs like this, too severely broken.
So how
Well, Dr. Bain, the defense says he
did the
should have
ribs
recovered from the
get hurt?
concussion. Well, that makes no sense, because he still has symptoms more than 18 months after the crash. That means his brain injury is permanent.
Concussions are
Well,
not
Dr. Bain,
a
would you be
joke.
willing to come to court to testify to our jury
I don't
so we can get
love
this right? Because the
style of
defense says
opening.
they're going to take this all the way to trial.
And here we are.
I'd love to, but I'm busy that week. But I can give you my deposition. So last week, the parties took Dr. Bain's deposition. You, the jury, will see it this week. And just so you know, a deposition is an out-of-court sworn testimony where the lawyers on both sides testify, or
There's going to be a
ask
lot of
questions to a witness.
depositions.
And in this case, it was recorded. So what happened to Terry? Well, the day after the crash, he goes to the VA hospital. At the VA, they x-ray his ribs, and they say, yes, you've got 4 broken ribs, 2 of them broken completely. And then a few days later, they confirm Terry suffered a concussion in this ski crash. Over the next year, Terry is seen by various people at the VA,
Yes.
including
Gwyneth Paltrow
speech therapists and other
countersued,
doctors, a
saying that he
psychiatrist.
hit her.
And he's trying to get better. Terry doesn't want to have a brain injury. Terry was a
Nobody
eye
wants
doctor
to
in the
have a
Army
brain injury.
for 3 years, a captain. And that's why he goes to the VA.
Nobody wants
But
a
after
brain
a year,
injury.
he's still got symptoms of a persistent brain injury. So I refer him to Dr. Alina Fong. She's a neuropsychologist in Utah County, and she treats thousands of people who suffer brain injuries that are persistent.
Okay.
And Dr. Fong treated Terry from about a year and 3 months after the crash to about a year and 6 months after the crash. Dr. Fong will testify in this case via video deposition because she couldn't be here for trial also. She has a conference in the Netherlands because she treats patients around the world and is a known
I want to go on a
treater of
conference to the
people with
Netherlands.
persistent, post-concussive symptoms, which is basically a brain injury.
There's some drama about whether
So after
how
this
that
litigation
testimony is going
began,
to go. It was
after
in the
2019,
I cover it tomorrow.
Terry
on the
went to
podcast.
see a neuropsychologist, Dr. Wendell Gibby of Utah,
Maybe
who's
I'll release
examined
the podcast
and scanned
earlier
thousands
tomorrow.
of patients with injured brains. A neuroradiologist is a medical doctor who specializes in radiology, everything from X-rays to MRIs to CT scans, and his specialty is also in neuroradiology, examining the brain. But he also examined the chest X-rays that were taken at the VA. And we asked Dr. Gibby, how bad is it? Dr. Gibby says, it's bad. His brain is permanently injured. He has persistent post-concussive symptoms. Although we can treat him, he will certainly have problems with his brain function the rest of his life.
Concussions are no
defense says
joke.
Terry's problems are pre-existing, and his brain problems were there before the crash. Well, that's what they always say about permanent brain injuries. Terry suffered a significant concussive brain injury in the ski crash. The injury is permanent. In other words, Terry will have problems with his brain the rest of his life. Well, doctor, the defense says he has
Misty, I
pre-existing
won't
brain
be
issues such as
streaming
NPH
the
when he had the brain
entire
scan in
trial.
2009, 7 years before the crash.
We're not going
NPH is
to be
normal
able to.
pressure
I've got
and,
days that I can't.
hydrocephalus.
But we'll do
Basically, it's
some.
when your brain has too much fluid in the canals of the brain or the ventricles.
I'll be
and it builds up and
interested
it
to
presses on your
see
brain. It may actually make you more
party's
susceptible to
testimony.
problems from a concussion. But many people go their whole life without any symptoms. And they never know they have MPH unless they get a brain scan. Well, the evidence will show that Terry Sanderson had no symptoms of NPH prior to the ski crash. Dr. Gibby says because Terry was asymptomatic or had no symptoms before the crash, the brain injury he suffered in the ski crash is the cause of his current problems, not MPH.
So prior
Well, the defense is
existing
three medical
conditions.
The defense has hired 3 MDs and 2 PhD neuropsychologists say, well, the MPH is causing his problems. And Dr. Gibby says, well, I'm not sure what they're thinking, but this ski crash caused Terry's current problems. Further, like Dr. Bain, Dr. Gibby thinks it's highly unlikely that Mr. Sanderson hit Ms. Paltrow. The way he sustained the injuries to his ribs is more likely than not caused by Ms. Paltrow landing on his back when Terry Sanderson hit the ground, when she rode his back after the ski crash.
Okay.
Then we talked to Dr. Sam Goldstein, a neuropsychologist who has a clinic in Salt Lake City, who treats patients with brain injuries. He's been treating people like this for decades. We asked Dr. Goldstein, what can you say about Terry's injuries? The defense says it's more likely dementia or NPH or other problems. Well, Dr. Goldstein says, well, it's permanent and significant, this injury he had when Ms. Paltrow hit him, because his family and friends and people he knows before and after the crash report that he had very few problems before the crash, but after the crash, he has very significant problems.
And that's going to be important.
Because of that, we know, and because it's lasted for years, more than a year and a half, and now it's been lasted for 7 years, we know he has persistent post-concussive symptoms.
7 years.
Goldstein says, yes, most people recover, but in a situation like this, where Ms. Paltrow denies she caused his injuries, it's like his frustration digs into his frontal lobes, so to speak, and his problems are permanent. Yes, he can alleviate them with treatment and medication, but he will have problems all his life. And these problems didn't exist before the crash. They came after the crash. And there is objective data that his ability to cope with life is diminished.
And that's going to go to damages.
Well, these doctors, Dr. Bain, Fong, Gibby, and Goldstein, you'll hear testimony from, 2 of them by videotape. And most doctors like them say that some of the most important pieces of evidence for understanding brain injuries are these before and after witnesses. Again,
And that's
these are
gonna be
people who
really
knew,
interesting.
Terry before and after the crash. You, the jury, will hear testimony from some of them, like his 2 daughters, and either today or tomorrow you'll also hear from Carlene Davidson, the girlfriend Terry had at the time of the crash. They've been together about a year and a half, and they spent a lot of time together. Miss Davidson spent maybe 3 out of 4 weeks with Terry Sanderson in Salt Lake City. They traveled the world together. Carlene Davidson knew Terry really well, and she'll report on what happened after the crash to Terry. A couple of things I'd like to discuss with you. The media has not been accurate. No Deer Valley ski employee saw the ski crash. Now,
Why are we
some
talking
employees
about
saw-
the media?
Some people saw the crash.
Yeah, why is...
outside media?
Yes.
Saying that's not going to come into
Okay.
case.
Some people.
That's
The Deer
inappropriate.
Valley employees did not see the ski crash.
I'm glad
Deer
there was an
Valley
objection.
employees saw some things before the crash and some things after the crash. Craig Ramon
This case
is the only eyewitness who actually
truly
saw the crash. You're going to hear from him later
who's
today.
doing
He'll be
what?
the first witness.
we don't know.
After this crash, well, before this crash, Terry was a charming, outgoing, gregarious person. He volunteered for many things. He was a retired eye doctor.
Gypsy Soul, this is a great question about assumption of the risk. Deer Valley is not, well, Deer Valley has been removed from this case. These are the two parties suing each other. There are rules with regard to skiing. There are laws in Utah with regard to skiing. And you owe a duty of care to other skiers on the mountain to ski safely. So who is at fault is what this is over. Is this, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow crashes into dude on ski slope or dude crashes into Gwyneth Paltrow on ski slope? That is the entirety of this case. It seems that they'll be able to prove he was injured. How those injuries were caused, though, is the crux of this case. Who is negligent? So assumption of the risk goes to Deer Valley not being responsible here, but it's not to somebody being negligent and running into you. And that's the entire heart of this case is negligence. Gwyneth, Elizabeth asked, was Gwyneth injured too? Gwyneth Paltrow in her complaint says that she was sore. We'll hear from her lawyers and stopped skiing from the day.
He'd moved from southern Idaho to Salt Lake City about 10 years ago.
Carrie Cook said, but
He
wasn't
was
this an accident? They're
Living
saying
a
it was
full life,
negligent.
traveling the world, doing everything possible to enjoy his life and guard his
So
health.
saying it was
He did not want a
negligent.
brain injury. He did everything possible he could to fix his brain injury. But after the crash, he's no longer charming. The before and after witnesses will show you this. We asked Terry to step out during this part because I didn't want to rub his nose in his own problems. And during other parts of testimony from his daughters and some of the other before and after witnesses, Terry won't be in the courtroom.
Not just an accident.
At the end of this trial, the evidence will have clearly and convincingly established that the value, not the cost, but the value of the damages done to Terry Sanderson is $3,276,000. We look forward to showing you all of the evidence.
$3 million is what they are looking
Mr.
for.
Bueller. Mr. Owens?
Can we have a 5-minute break? And I do want to address one thing with the court.
Okay. Why don't we take a short recess between the lawyers' opening statements? So thank you.
Okay, it looks like they're going on a break. Let's see if they go sidebar. It seems like they're going sidebar. I like the judge's bow tie. This might not be where we live now. We're not necessarily moving to Utah, folks. Don't pack a bag yet.
Court has found that there was insufficient evidence to assume number 45 to the
Okay, we're putting something on the record. I'm going to
renew the instruction
slow this down because I want to hear what the court is putting on the record.
number 45 to the defense. This court has found that there was insufficient evidence to assert a hit and run. They didn't use the words hit and run, but they said she bolted. And this jury is under the misimpression that is an issue in this case. It's not an issue. That was ruled on summary judgment.
And it was
All that remains
dismissed.
is a negligence claim. One can't be negligent for bolting from the scene of an accident. That's an intentional conduct. So I ask for that instruction right now. Even.
Your Honor. As the first witness, those are his exact words. And he's testified that in front of, and it's been provided to defense counsel before the
Oh, boy.
litigation, during the litigation, and a deposition. His deposition lasted 6 hours, and the defense interrogated him on this, and he never changed his testimony, and that's his testimony. Now, they can quibble with the testimony and dispute the testimony, but I did not use the word hit and run. Eric Christensen came up, people asked, are you okay? The evidence is, will show that what I said in the opening is accurate per the only eyewitness, Craig Ramon.
They say.
Obviously, the concern is that there may be an implication that it goes to duty, and as long as you're not making an implication that she had a duty to do something different, the testimony of the witnesses is what the testimony of the witnesses is. You can ask your questions, you can point things out, you can make your arguments.
Cross-examine.
But my ruling on the instruction 45 will stand. Thank you.
I guess
Short
we're going.
5-minute break.
All right, the court's taking a 5-minute break. We are not covering this live. We are just going to go through opening arguments of the parties, and then I have got to scoot today. It looks like this attorney's opening might be long. We caught the tail end of it on this live. I will cover parts of this case if y'all are interested. Here's what I'm considering. I'm considering releasing tomorrow's podcast a little early.
People are in.
On the video so you all can get caught up. And if we want to cover this for the day tomorrow, I will have to take a look and see if I have some time to do so and talk to the team and the mods. So I will ask you about that. Let's go look at this opening statement. I will put up another poll if you guys want me to cover this tomorrow and see. And I'll put out the podcast early and see what time court's resuming tomorrow with this case. Let's take a look. You all love live trials. I know you do.
Big disputes. Our system, both our U.S. Constitution and our state constitution.
Don't start with the Constitution. Tell them the story of what happened. For fuck's sake.
Allows these disputes to be done openly, publicly, and by a jury of one's peers. And I think it's a beautiful thing. It's slow. A lot of people complain about lawyers, but no one gets hurt.
Oh, God. When you have nothing to say is when you go to the Constitution.
In terms of, we don't burn people's houses down, we don't do acts of violence. And oddly enough, if a trial is done right, even the losing party feels that they were heard and understood and that they feel some sense of peace. So if you can't tell,
maybe a Utah
this is a big deal to the parties, and it's really special that you were chosen. You should feel complimented, and perhaps one day you'll tell your children and grandchildren, I was selected for a jury, and it was an honor to serve, and I helped my community by trying to figure out a difficult problem that the parties have.
I do like complimenting the jurors.
Even in Greece, ancient Greece, they used to resolve problems like this.
Fuck!
Disputes, bring in some criminal, some are civil. That essentially means, can someone go to jail for it? That's criminal.
Stop it!
Someone asking for money, that's civil. So this is a civil claim.
Don't go to ancient Greece.
And, they would gather the people and listen to the dispute. So this is a very historic tradition. The burden of proof is one of your statements here from the judge, and I just want to comment on it. Burden of proof.
This is an opening, sir. This is an opening statement. Tell the story of what happened. You know what the other side just said? The other side said that this gentleman has a traumatic brain injury that is permanent and broken ribs because your client ran into him on the ski slope. Why are you talking to me about ancient Greece? Yes, our tradition of law is a beautiful tradition. I agree with you, but you are not lecturing a law school class saying you have chosen to go into a noble profession. You're talking to jurors. Tell them the story.
So I put before you Lady Justice. If you're ever in Salt Lake, go to the Salt Lake City County building and look up, and it's this statute, although this is not the exact statute of her. But you've seen this around, and I've done another one for you here that I like to keep in my office. All right, so what's important
I keep Lady
about
Justice
this?
in my office too.
So one of the judge's instructions for you was no sympathy, passion, or prejudice. You're not to award anyone anything because you feel sorry for them. This is important because over the next 2 weeks, we're going to hear a lot about Terry Sanderson's mental and physical health, both before the ski collision and after the ski collision.
It
and
went
you're
all
gonna
the way
feel
under my
sorrow for
desk.
him.
Hold on.
But
I'll
we're
be
not
back.
here. I can feel sorrow too, but that's not why you're here. You're here to figure out if someone negligently crashed into someone or if no one did. And I think the law will permit you to decide that no one was at fault. Unlike a car accident or something, a ski collision is different. There are inherent risks of skiing. I know when I get on the top of the tram at Snowbird, and it's a gusty day like today, and I say, if I don't do this right, I could kill myself. I mean, it's a breathtaking, wonderful, exhilarating, but also a little dangerous, isn't it?
It's
That we're strapping
exhilarating.
on pieces of wood or fiberglass on our boots, and we're going down a very snowy,
you
icy
throttle
hill.
yourself down a hill. That's true. You do that.
That happens. Maybe some of you have been hit. I've been hit.
How many of you ski?
Disorienting.
Hold
was
on.
Unhappy. I was unhappy, to say the least. But I did recognize it as an inherent risk. I mean, okay, let me move on that.
Yeah, please.
So
That's
the blindfold
into,
is, I'm not going to do this because I
objectionable.
feel sorry for someone. Then the scales. Mr. Sanderson has brought the claim. As a result, he has to tip the scale, okay? The tie means plaintiff does not win. Tie goes to the defendant. So they have to tip. That's who brought the claim. That's the weighing. And then you see the sword.
Okay, what's the
Now,
story?
the sword can be, I'm seeking justice, so I'm proactively fighting it, and sometimes Lady Justice is actually seen with a shield. Let me suggest that that sword is being used to defend a meritless claim, a false allegation, really kind of an offensive one. That
They're
she
offended.
somehow left him an unconscious man and bolted, and it's I can tell you, we believe it to be utter BS.
I can tell you.
Objection, Your Honor. Argument.
Yep.
Supposed to present what he's going to show, not argue it.
We believe it to be.
Yep.
It's fair. It's fair, isn't it?
It's not.
Oh, sustained.
Fucking hell. Oh, let's back up. I'm going to slow this down and tell you what he did wrong. We're going to back up real quick. This attorney, you heard him mess up because he is saying, look, he's getting ready to say it's utter BS. This is argument. These are opening statements. Opening statements are the evidence will show this and that. You tell the story. Look at this. This is the face. This is the moment where you're like, fuck it. We're doing it anyway. All right, let's take a listen.
We believe it to be utter BS.
Objection, Your Honor. Argument. He's supposed to present what he's going to show, not argue it.
He
starts to say, we believe this is fair argument. Listen to what he says. That's how you know you're wrong. It's your opening.
Believe it to be. It's fair. It's fair, isn't it?
Oh, sustained. It is bordering on argument, counsel.
Thank you.
It is argument.
He's suing for $3 million. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'm going to hit damages later. I want to hit the merits of the case first.
Tell the story.
So the burden of proof.
Oh, geez.
I wanted to emphasize, and then instruction 11 says, "Don't abandon your common sense." So this can look. You're going to hear from brain experts and a lot of people to talk about this, but don't abandon your common sense. That's very important.
Okay, counsel.
I also want to just reference to you that you should pay attention more to the records before someone's thinking lawsuit than the records after someone's thinking lawsuit.
Objection, argument, Your Honor. This isn't opening statement. This is argument.
Sustained.
It is argument.
You're going to see a lot of records about what was going on before and during,
Sir?
and then after.
What will the evidence show?
Some of the records before indicate that Terry Sanders had brain issues before. In fact, there was a prior MRI. Now,
okay.
Let me hit the accident, because I'd be silly
Is hit the word you want to use?
to address other issues. Let me explain what was happening. And can you find that second picture? Ms. Paltrow has sentimental feelings about skiing. Her dad, who left this life too early, took her skiing as a kid at Alta. She grew up learning to ski, and those are very sentimental trip. In fact, after her dad died in his 50s, she didn't ski for a long time because it was an emotional thing for her. That is Ms. Paltrow. That is Gwyneth on the right. That is her son, Moses, on the left. On the very day of the ski accident. All right, so they're going up, and this was also, so it was a sentimental issue because she had started getting back into skiing, and she did it because she wanted her kids to learn like she had. Another thing, she had a boyfriend at the time who's now her husband, and he has kids the exact same age.
Gwyneth is married?
Gwyneth's daughter and son.
How lovely.
Oddly, the daughter is the same age as the daughter, and the son as the son. And this was really their first trip to sort of have a mixed, see if this might work. So it was a special time, and it was a lovely day. So some ski events, we worry about, is the sun in someone's eyes? No one's saying that. Is it a snowy day? No, it was a nice day. How about, was it slick run? No, it was a nice groomed run. How about, was it really complex hill? No, it wasn't the bunny hill, but Bandana, who maybe some of you know, I mean, it's a green hill.
Okay.
And so none of those factors kind of come into play. Moderately busy. And she's skiing, again, with a group. So her group is she, Brad, now her husband, who you're going to hear from, her daughter, Apple, who you're going to hear from, Moses, who you're going to hear from, and then
I forgot her daughter was
some
named
Deer
Apple.
Valley people. Now, these weren't her people. These were Deer Valley instructors. I could have hired Eric Christiansen that day just as
There's the
Gwyneth
sound
did.
engineers from Court TV in court.
And then
She and Chris
Brad has
Martin
two
are
kids,
divorced, right?
and they had ski instructors.
Who's
So
Brad?
that was their group. It was kind of a loose group. But nonetheless, they went to the top. They met at the top of Ben.
Lawyers need to tell the story clearly. This is not telling the story clearly. Gwyneth Paltrow and her family went skiing for the day. And that day got derailed when she was hit on the ski slope. If that's your story, just, oh my God.
Dana with the plan. This was about 11:30, 11 a.m. We're going to go down and have lunch. I think it's the Empire Lodge, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so we're going to all kind of ski down.
Great.
Gwyneth is a conservative skier. She always skis on the far right. So if it's like a highway, fast people go on the left. I don't know if it's the same, but
what?
Far right, and then
can you see the headlines? Gwyneth Paltrow, far right.
And
sorry,
she's generally watching her kids, but she's not specifically watching.
She skis to the right.
They have their
the fast lane is to the left. Okay.
She's skiing, enjoying herself, and she hears. Suddenly, she sees two skis.
Does she hear or does she see?
Between her skis.
Wait.
And a man.
She hears, she sees? Did she hear or did she see?
Comes up right behind her. Now, they're not going fast. That's kind of the odd thing here.
Don't sneak up behind me.
He comes up almost body to body like this.
Ugh.
And starts groaning.
Ew!
She doesn't.
What? What is happening in this opening statement? Okay. So he just said that somebody came up behind her, body to body, and started groaning. Sir? This makes a little bit more sense of some of the motions in limine. And okay, just bear with me just a second. In one of the motions in limine, they were talking about the defense, Paltrow, wanting to bring up higher bad acts of sexual harassment. Interesting. This has gone a completely different way.
Know what's going on. What's going on? Am I being assaulted? She's moving.
How did she hear if she's in a helmet?
Forward, and then she's like, they begin falling to the right, and she's feeling freaked out, I think is a fair statement, and he hits down, apparently his side and his head, and she is essentially falling on him, but keep in mind, his skis are intertwined now with hers. Her first reaction is get away from this. And so she's
his skis are
trying to get away.
intertwined.
What has just happened? Now, she only has to think about this for a few seconds to realize, okay, I'm not being assaulted. But this fellow, she had a more colorful word, has just run into me. And she said, "What are you doing?" Her words to
in their motion, okay, in their counterclaim, the filing, this is context. The filing of the ski patrol report says that the plaintiff, in this case, Sanderson, took her out from behind. That's the language in the ski collision report. Took her out from behind. So that's where we're at. We're at Gwyneth Paltrow getting taken out from behind.
that effect. And he's like, words to the effect, "I didn't see you." And then there's a question, well, who ran into who? And he says, you ran into me? And Gwyneth's like, no, you ran square right into me. And he said, "I'm sorry." He doesn't deny saying, "I'm sorry."
But if he has a
he doesn't
brain
remember
injury.
it, but he doesn't dispute it. Now, she's still ticked off. In fact, much has been said about the so-called only eyewitness. So you're going to hear from him this afternoon. I don't have to give you a commentary on him.
I will.
But he will say
well, no,
he
I won't. Not this
heard and
afternoon.
turned.
Maybe tomorrow.
He heard and turned. That's what the Deer Valley guy says. Eric Christiansen, one of the instructors, said he heard and turned and then saw. So I'll comment just a minute more on Mr. Ramon in just a minute. You'll hear about him. Back to Gwyneth's story.
This is so
she's
odd.
backed up. She's safe. Eric's on the scene. He's helping people get their skis off. And he's trying to figure out what happened. Now, Eric, backing up, they started at the hill. This is at the very beginning of the hill, by the way. It's not halfway down. It's not 3/4 down. It's the first quarter down. He's trying to figure out what happened. But he had seen Gwyneth go down. Then Terry, who was cutting across the whole thing. If I'm misstating it, we're going to have to defer to their testimony when they testify, but I'm trying to give you a big picture.
You're not
making
doing a great job, sir.
Much wider turning. And guess what? He's blind in one eye and has decreasing vision in his left eye.
The
He has
plaintiff.
hearing aids. He's had heart, stroke, many other medical conditions. Just weeks earlier, he had told his doctor, I'm feeling old suddenly.
I mean, same,
And
but like every
Terry's
day
story, by
past
the way,
30.
is that he's coming across and he sees a struggling younger woman, not younger, a struggling female skier. And he wants to be
What?
really clear to stay away from her. So
I'm
he's
so
actually
lost.
turning his head to clear the beginner skier. And what happens? He comes right upon Gwyneth. He back turns with his better eye, and suddenly she's there. So the Deer Valley report, do you mind? By the way, Deer Valley is not a party to this lawsuit. The court dismissed Deer Valley. So Gwyneth's not Deer Valley.
Hey!
Deer Valley stands on its own.
Objection to argument. Your Honor.
Yes.
Overruled.
Deer Valley stands on its own.
The court
and,
dismissed it is what I would object to.
I don't know if they're going to assert like there's some massive cover-up or what, but
Objection. Argument.
Yes.
Sustained.
okay, back one, I think, James.
These openings are not concise, and that's the problem.
By the way, I think the goal is to give everyone a little better access with these little screens, but it hasn't worked out today.
Great.
So Eric Christiansen, remember, he hears and he turns, and he goes directly over there. He's there within seconds, and he's seen what happened. And what does he say? Can you blow up
It's
the first
interesting.
half?
The defendant
Chief
is still
complaint,
not
male
present.
skier
Sorry, the plaintiff is not present for the openings.
took her out from behind.
Hey, there we go. We get to see the this is the evidence. I was skiing with 9-year-old skiing down short turns. Male skier took her out from behind. It then says, I didn't see it, but heard her scream as she went down. I skied directly to her. The man was behind her. Both were in discomfort.
He's putting this together, and
I
then
didn't see
let's
it.
do the bottom
It
thing,
says it right
and then
there.
we won't focus
you
on
ignored that
exhibits
part.
anymore really today on this. But
I like
first
that
thing
program.
male skier said, does that say said? I can't read it.
Counsel, it's your opening. Now's not the time to figure it the fuck out.
Anyone?
Stated.
Stated was that she appeared
Who
right
answered?
in front of him, thus admitting that he was the uphill skier. She never saw him because
It's your
he came in
exhibit!
from behind.
Oh,
That was the
hell.
evaluation from the Deer Valley skier, from the Deer Valley instructor. Interestingly,
Sir.
Eric Christiansen, the ski instructor, is trying to figure out, all right, what's the first question, by the way? Everyone okay? Everyone okay? Now, they were both
67% of you
take
not
a body
skiers.
blow. It takes a little while to gather your senses.
We're going to learn a lot
Recognize,
about
okay,
skiing
I'm safe, okay.
over the next
But
few days, I suspect.
his answer was he was okay. And he was on his feet. This took minutes. Gwyneth was not happy still.
It's interesting he's
Moses,
referring to her
who you're
as
going to meet,
Gwyneth.
he's now 16, but he was a 9-year-old at the time. was with his
If somebody ran into me on a ski slip, I'd be fucking pissed.
instructors. The
I just don't
instructor
know who
started
ran
to come
into
over.
who.
Moses came over, and he
I
saw his mom.
don't.
And he was worried. He hadn't seen his mom. First of all, she's on the ground, and she's yelling at this guy. She might have said something like, "What the F word?" And I think she might have said the F word. We're going to figure that out.
Gwyneth
And
said,
she's mad.
fuck?
And he said, "I haven't seen my mom like that." And he was sort of personally a little upset. All right. And then, okay, everyone's okay? Everyone's okay. And Eric Christiansen, the ski instructor, said, a ski patrol person, who's different than the instructor, a ski patrol person came by and said, "Everyone okay?" And he said, Mr. Sanderson and Craig Ramon, who you're going to meet this afternoon, talked to each other and said, "We're okay."
Talk to me, baby.
And they
Sorry.
said, "We're okay," and the ski patrol left.
Not sorry.
All right, now everyone's okay. And then I think Eric Christiansen, okay.
You think? Or did, what?
Gwyneth, you can go join your family. By the way,
This
your
is
family's
so
waiting
difficult
for
to
at the
follow.
bottom. Brad, interestingly, had heard it and looked up and saw his wife on the ground and had come back up, and she had skied down to be with him, not to leave. By the way, you'll never hear the words hit and run in this whole trial. This was not a hit and run.
You just said it.
The plaintiffs even had a ski expert evaluate it, and they said it's not a hit and run.
Oh my
so
God.
Take that out of your mind. All right. So
You put it in their mind by saying it.
All right. Now what's going on? Okay, everyone's good to go. Everyone went. Terry. Oh, right before he left, apparently.
Oh my God.
Eric Christiansen said, "Your buddy just took out Gwyneth Paltrow." They didn't even. No one knew who she was.
How?
By the way, she had the helmet and goggles and everything. Guess who who denied that? Craig Ramon. Their so-called first skier has a whole different crazy story.
That's
Objection,
argument.
Your Honor.
That is argument.
Overruled?
That is argument.
No, then I reassert my crazy comment. All right, so.
That is argument.
I'll continue the story.
Without the
Everyone's
argument.
Good to go. Okay, then
Y'all,
they now
this
hear
is not,
she's Gwyneth
this is
Paltrow.
killing me.
And they're like, okay, well, let's.
Natalie
let's
asked,
ski
why
down. So
does
they
her
ski
identity
down
matter?
a ways
Because
further.
she's the
And
one
Terry,
being sued.
I shouldn't call him Terry, Mr. Sanderson, does not feel good.
I
He feels
can't
confused,
follow
he says.
you.
So you'll hear them.
This dude makes me miss
Well,
Poot.
let's get a ski patrol person now. We had previously waved one off, but now we've changed
I didn't
our
like
mind.
all of Poot's tactics,
We need
but at
ski
least I
patrol.
could follow him.
Toboggan person comes named Whitney, and she pulls up, and the first thing Whitney says is, "What happened?"
This guy might
And
make me miss a lane.
Mr. Sanderson says,
At
"I
least
don't
she was
know.
entertaining.
I'm not sure." He did not say, "I was just hit." Interestingly, Craig Ramon, the friend, did not correct that statement. So Craig Ramon, by the way, never once told Eric Christiansen.
It's not Christensen? I pronounced it wrong the
Excuse me,
entire
she
podcast
hit
yesterday
him.
then.
Didn't say one word about it.
Okay.
Didn't say we need help. Part of this crazy story is, he says, Mr. Sanderson was out cold for 2 minutes.
Sanderson said in his
Unconscious.
press conference he was unconscious for
Now,
5
do
to
you know
10
how long
minutes.
it is to look at a person who might be like dead or dying for 2 minutes and not do one thing? He didn't do anything.
Okay.
It's not true. Everyone on the scene is
It's
saying,
not true, his argument.
absolutely. If he was out, it was for seconds.
Chat, I have to leave in
Not
just a few
2
minutes.
minutes.
I'm going to speed him up a little.
Christiansen's
'Cause
going to just
I am up
ignore
against
someone
a
who's
deadline.
out cold. He's saying, "I'm okay." He's on his feet. He's declining ski patrol. Very different story than someone who's out cold. I said, "Did you start CPR, like where you check his breathing and stuff?" No, I didn't do any of it. You'll see there are a lot of ridiculous things I think about it.
Objection, Your Honor. Argument.
Sustained?
Gwyneth didn't have a helmet. He says Gwyneth didn't have a helmet or a face mask or a goggles
He's
on
just
her.
arguing the whole
she had those
time.
things. She doesn't go around skiing. She's safe conscious, and she's probably a little celebrity conscious about, like, I don't do that. So anyway,
So what is being
we'll address
celebrity
that this afternoon
conscious?
more. But let me continue the story. So he's on the toboggan. Now,
what the fuck?
Whitney, this toboggan person's pretty smart. She goes, "Hey, I want you to remember."
Yeah, Rob, I don't
I'm going to tell you a few things. I
disagree.
want you to remember them. And they're unique things. We'll get into it later. And at the bottom of the hill, she's checking them, and he remembers all of them. In fact, he's a poster. So he posts a very happy, smiling picture
He's a poster? What?
of the toboggan person and a very articulate comment repeating like she went to Michigan, she won this ski thing.
On
very
what
detailed. And he
social
posts it.
media? Where?
Okay, well, that's nice, but it's not something you do if you just suffered a major traumatic brain injury. All right, so articulate.
He's a poster.
Everything. At the bottom, he's talking. He's
She's a
conversing.
pusher.
This isn't like garbled,
Put it in the burn
crazy
book.
talk where you think head injury is important. So by the way, he takes a picture. So he likes to take pictures and post things on Facebook and everything of Ramon and
Facebook
one of the
post.
women he was skiing with, and they're all smiles. Like you'd post, you wouldn't know, like this is taken by someone who just suffered a major head collision or something. And boom, it's posted. Okay, great. This is good because we're getting real life things from him and his own fingers in his own head.
questioning the 4 broken ribs. Broken
Then he
ribs
goes to
hurt
an
like a
Instacare person.
motherfucker.
Instacare person says, no signs of confusion. Okay, that's a big issue, right? If we're worrying about. By the way, there's a nurse on your panel, but I take it from our experts that you'll hear that if you hit your head and you say, I have confusion, essentially,
might have
you are diagnosed.
a point
I mean,
somewhere.
you have a concussion. I mean, so maybe it's more than that. I might be
But
simplifying it, and forgive me if I am. There's
He
nothing I'm
might
saying
have
is
a
evidence, but I'm
point,
trying to give you
but
the
we are
story.
so lost
So
in the way
the guy
he's
there
finding
is
that
like, okay,
point that we can't find the point with a fucking
I can't
map
rule out problems, so you should get a CT.
and a compass.
A CT is imaging of the brain, and he ends up going to the VA hospital the next day.
I'm so lost.
The CT, it's interesting. So he had a stroke-like event and lost his right eye, like 6 years earlier. So we have imaging of his
Okay.
brain 6 years earlier. And guess what? There are defects in that new CT. But guess what? They were there before. They were there before. And guess what their experts didn't do? Go back and look to see if the problems in his current imaging is present on his 6-year-old CT of the brain. It's kind of crazy. They're interviewing him.
It's kind of crazy.
He's telling them things, but no one's actually trying to go back and sort of say, look, is his brain different? Okay. You're going to hear from some daughters. By the way, there was reference to 2 daughters. He has 3 daughters. He's on the outs with that daughter. She paints a not that great story about him before the ski accident.
There's drama.
Why do we dig into this? No one wants to dig into this.
You
But
do?
if a 75-year-old man says, I don't think as well as I used to. My brain doesn't work as well as I used to. I forget things. We have to, which is why we're all here, we have to go back and look at these things. If he says my relationships were harmed by Gwyneth, we have to go back, it's kind of a deep dive, and say, what were your relationships like before this? And it's not pleasant. I mean, like half of the trial is going to be on this kind of stuff, because if someone says, I have a severe $3 million brain injury caused by you, we have no...
Yeah, we
I have
are
a
definitely
lawyer
tangled in the tow rope.
obligation to represent my client and say, what's true? And I'm telling you, he does have confusion. He does have strained relationships. He does forget some things. But guess what?
Is it appropriate?
It's a normal
Okay,
aging
that's what he's saying. It's appropriate
and his
to his
pre-existing
age.
problems coming forward and progressing.
Dr. Riley's saying the
Back to
jury's
the story.
checked out at this
So
point,
I,
and we're
Instacare,
listening
they say, go get a CT
fast. And
tomorrow.
I'm having a hard time.
And then he posts, and let's put that up.
Because he's a poster.
So he's a poster.
He's
okay?
a poster.
Big on Facebook. So there are lots of pictures of him, which helps us. It helps us understand.
The pictures will actually be helpful, I
What
think.
does he post to his daughters? I'm famous. He doesn't post I'm hurt. He doesn't post googly gawk. Is that the right word?
Googly what?
Confusing stuff. Could you highlight the bottom
Is
half?
he trying to say gobbledygook or great googly moogly? The I'm famous.
Famous.
Wait,
This is
wait a second. You said this, is this a Facebook post? Because this looks like a fucking email. Jesus. He said it was a Facebook post. Those are emails. Okay. I need context.
8 p.m. The accident had occurred just before lunch. So 8 hours later, he's
I'm
home.
famous. Here's what happened
And
from
then
my
he said,
friend and eyewitness.
here's what happened. From my friend and eyewitness, this Craig. And he
A
posts
post from Meetup.
He posts it.
That he doesn't post
Wouldn't
it.
you be interested to know what this post was in real time? This video or photo?
It's an email.
Your Honor, that's just trying to explain the evidence here.
It's
So you've got
argument.
evidence, I mean, this is evidence that will come in?
That it's not there.
Okay. Overruled as to that?
Wouldn't we all
Part of the
like to
opening
know? I apologize. We're okay?
Yes.
Wouldn't we like to know what this was?
Objection, argument, Your Honor. This is argument.
Sustained?
It's nowhere to be found. We're in a courtroom 7 years later trying to figure out what happened. It was right there, nowhere to be found. And then, can you do the top half? This is his daughter. I can't believe this is all on GoPro.
What?
I can't believe this is all on GoPro. Where's the GoPro? Do we want it? We want it. It's nowhere to be found.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm glad you're okay. He's telling his daughters, I'm okay. All right.
That's
We're
going to
trying
be
put together a
interesting
lot of
evidence.
facts. You're going to hear, I don't know, like 20 people are going to come in, half of them medical people, and try to figure this out. It'll be interesting. I think after this trial, we'll go, that was
There's
cool,
missing
actually.
GoPro
You learned
footage.
a lot, and you are given to our community. But about half of the information you're going to hear, if you find that Gwyneth did not cause the accident, you can disregard all the damages talk. So we're going to hear a week of evidence on Terry's brain, Mr. Sanderson's brain.
A week talking about this man's brain.
If you find no negligence by Ms. Paltrow,
It doesn't
then-
matter.
you can disregard all that.
Your Honor, I object. This is a classic argument.
Sustained.
It is argument.
$1 bill.
Oh gosh, this is argument too.
Gwyneth was hurt by Mr. Sanderson's negligence.
This is
When
argument.
He came up behind her, paralleled her, and went. She says she has a prior knee problem. She was worried about it.
Argument,
separated
argument,
from him
argument,
with help.
argument.
Then boyfriend came up, and she is upset. She has
The money.
anyone sustaining a blow is upset. She's sore.
Of course.
She never went to a doctor, but for this, by the way. But it rattled her, and it physically hurt her. When they were dismissed, they went down to the bottom of the hill. And who was waiting for her? Her daughter, Apple,
It's a ski
now
wreck.
18, then
The daughter's for argument.
8, I think. No. 11. Sorry, I got that mixed up. So, and Apple's like, what took you so long? And she said, some a-hole just ran into me. I think she used the real word. All right, why is this important? She didn't say, I just ran into someone.
Sir?
She was mad. And over lunch, she was mad. And then after lunch,
Oh,
she
we're
said,
almost done. I think we're almost done.
that guy kind of hurt me.
Oh, no,
And
we're
I'm not
not
going to see
almost
the rest of the
done.
day. There's even a text from Gwyneth's own phone to
Y'all,
Eric Christiansen.
I'm not
And
going
they're
to be
like,
able to
Moses
finish
wants to know if
this.
you're coming. I'm going to go
'Cause
in.
I've got a hard
That guy
stop.
kind of hurt me. And she went in. And she lost her full day pass that she had paid for, and she only got to ski half a day. In addition,
Poor
she had paid for her
Gwyneth.
instructor, who now was diverted from teaching her son Moses to take care of this collision issue. And so we ask you for $1. Now, this is a lot to go through for $1, but it's an actual $1.
That's argument.
She had come with her family to enjoy a family
Objection,
vacation.
this is again argument. This is classic argument.
These are facts.
This is closing argument.
Overruled as to the comments that are being made right now, those are facts?
It was
Yeah,
argument
and let's keep
before.
the interruptions to a minimum, would we? On cl-
Well, counsel.
Oh, we're gonna slow that down. This trial's gonna get spicy. Hold on. That lawyer is directly talking to the other attorney, not the court.
Your Honor, this is again argument. This is classic argument.
These are facts.
This is closing argument.
Overruled as to the comments that are being made right now, those are facts?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and let's keep the interruptions to a minimum, would we?
Well, counsel,
Thank
go
you.
ahead. I mean, the objections have been valid, some of them.
That's
So,
so inappropriate.
She came for a family vacation. Half the afternoon was kind of ruined. And so that $1 is important to us. It's important to my client.
And that is where we are stopping for now. These lawyers are going to get spicy. I'm going to put up another poll in our member spaces and here on the channel. I have got to go because I have a hard stop. I have some media interviews I have to go do. So with that, I'm sorry that we had to do a hard stop. This is all over the interwebs if you want to go watch the rest of it. I will try to follow up the rest of it, and I will keep you in the loop if I'm going to stream tomorrow. I think I'm going to release the podcast early. If you want to know exactly what I'm doing, lawnerdaralert.com is free, and I will keep you in the loop with when I'm streaming, if I'm adding streaming. So with that, go sign up at lawnerdaralert.com. We had to take a peeky peek. The audio of the podcast is up at 4 a.m. tomorrow if you want to listen to it. And I will see about releasing the video of the podcast early tomorrow if we decide to stream instead of just doing this at 11. I've got to talk to the mods and my family because covering trial is quite a lot. LawNerdAlert.com, and I will keep you in the loop. Members, I will keep you in the loop in the members' spaces, and we will decide what we're going to do. But for now, I have got to go because of obligations I have committed to. Thank you for being here. This is going to be interesting. Go sign up for the emails, and we'll decide on the fly what we're going to do. I have a feeling I'm going to see y'all soon.
You can find all the Law Nerd goodies at Law.
That was me. I accidentally did that.
You can find all the Law Nerd goodies at lawnerdshop.com. Connect with me on social media at the Emily D. Baker. And don't forget to check out my podcasts, The Emily Show, and the new podcast, Quick Bits, summarizing everything I talk about on my Tuesday and Thursday live streams. You know, when you only have time for just the quick bits.